Hold on. All right, I'm recording or live streaming. I'm going to record as a backup. All right, go ahead.
7:20. Hi everyone. So again, this is the City of Yes committee meeting. My name is Rich Reynoso. Been a member since 2020.
My name is Wendy Hewlett-Betts, board member since 2023.
Edgar Aguirre, board member since 2023.
All right. So we're gonna skip the election of committee chairs since we don't have quorum, and we're gonna just get right into the meat of it. Not sure if we could, should we try to share this? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it.
Jeremy, do you happen to have the
go on
presentation?
Well, one of us can just go on our emails and then just grab.
You want?
Have it? You-
We're gonna go on our email. We're gonna try to share the City of Yes document.
on screen so everyone knows where we are. That just will make things easier. Just need to remember to log out. I don't remember my board email right now, but oh.
All right, I'm going to step away. So if you need me, just call me, especially when you get done. All right. But if you run into any problems, just call me. I got my ringer on.
Okay.
Say PA D.
Oh, I hate those things. I hate if Google is just
Oh,
the worst with that.
either I'm messing up this here or I'm messing up that. Can't even tell what that is.
Let me try.
Yeah. You like to.
Yeah. Let me see if I have mine. Okay.
Yeah, anyway, this is projected.
No. Sorry, folks. We're trying to bring up this presentation. It's there's some work. Okay, got it. You. All right. This one here.
There we go. Perfect. Ooh. Yeah, you're gonna want to open that. Just download as a PDF.
Yeah, right.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen, and we're gonna go from there. Okay, can folks see the screen? Yes or no?
Yes, we could see it.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Diana. Okay,
Volume's low.
yeah, I don't know how to raise it.
Is it that thing right there on the bottom next to the microphone? Oh, it's all the way out?
Yeah, okay.
Let me see.
Hmm. Maybe it's their volume?
No, that one of those things there.
Oh, there was, yeah.
So, here's the logistics of City of Yes. We've been given an extension into the first week of February to vote on our recommendations to submit to the city. So, logistically speaking, we need to come to a decision by the full board meeting of this month, which is January 25th. So, this is the first time this committee's meeting. I don't think we're gonna go through all of this document tonight, be for hours. So what I think maybe we could do is do some now and then. Oh,
Yeah.
great,
We have quorum now.
great. So we could do some now and then meet again in a couple of weeks. I think we may need to meet for a couple.
Yeah.
'Cause
I wouldn't space it out.
Yeah.
Wasted a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so let's get into this. So, hey,
Man,
how are you?
We have quorum.
Yes.
So should we just go back to?
you want to follow the agenda now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're just got here, so yeah, our meeting called to order 7:27. So election of committee chairs. Who would like to be chair? Right? Anyone volunteers? Yeah, it has to be a person here.
Oh, it has to be a person here.
I believe so. Believe it has to be one of, either way, I think it has to be someone on the committee. And we're the only folks on from the committee right now.
Well, I nominate Wendy.
Who said that?
We have Wendy for chair.
Yeah. Do you accept? I mean, hey, you got nominated.
Who's gonna be my co?
I'll be your co-chair.
There you go.
You
There you go.
Only because you're my senior.
There you go.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea to have somebody that is in a senior position in the board in comparison to me. I'm just saying, that's my idea. I mean, I don't know how you think. What? No, you didn't. What, like an hour before me?
Okay,
Do you accept?
I so.
Okay, cool. And you
I like how
co-chair?
you dodged that
All
one.
right. So moved. I think we're good.
Yeah.
So now you guys are running the meeting. Yeah. You're the chair.
You're the chair.
He's like-
What?
No, yeah, we could.
That's all.
All right.
Okay. So this is, the floor is yours, guys.
So I see here, who created this printout?
I think that was the attachment that Bernadette sent over
So
from Tuan.
thank you
Yeah.
for Bernadette for sending this over and whoever printed this out. We have in front of us what appears to be the proposal overview. Now, I know a lot of people may not have had the chance to look over all the proposals.
Yeah, it's there, so if you want to share it,
Oh, okay.
we can watch the screen.
Oh, no.
No, right there.
No,
No, it's on
On the bottom,
yeah.
right?
Wait, did I close it?
No, it should be.
No, it's a PowerPoint. I think it's a
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
I think I
The
closed
third tab.
Oh, PowerPoint presentation
Yeah.
every time.
Up.
Up.
There you go.
There you go.
Same.
it. Okay.
Perfect.
Now, how do I share the screen?
Go to WebEx and then hit share in the middle.
On the bottom,
Yep, yeah.
yeah,
Right there.
Okay.
and then
right,
Google,
and share.
and share.
There you go.
okay.
Perfect.
All right.
You want me to go down?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just to make it very clear, this committee was formed in order to properly disseminate information and try to put some fires out in terms of a lot of the community sentiment, maybe misunderstanding on the city of Yes. There are three parts to the city of Yes. There is the city of Yes for climate opportunity, which had already been voted on. There's the city of Yes for economic opportunity, which is the current phase and the current proposals that have been in discussion. I know that the Department of City Planning has been to the community board various times and have discussed this very same proposal. So we're not really going to give you any new information because the Department of City Planning hasn't given us anything new. Basically, we want to get a sense for real questions in regards to the city of Yes for economic opportunity. And we're going to go ahead and formulate a plan before the vote, where the board is going to be able to hear out from the community. Think of it as a not a town hall, but like a community vision board. We haven't exactly thought about how we're going to do this. It might be a digital way where maybe it's a Google Sheet or some sort of form that the community could give their input on each and every one of these proposals. So today, just to kind of like lay out the framework, we're just going to review the documentation that was sent us to us, the proposal overview. And then, do you think that we should open up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you mentioned Community Vision Board, CB11 Harlem, East Harlem, Jeremy, and you may know this because of with Angel. I think it was around 2014, 15. East Harlem was going through a rezoning, and there were two major development opportunities that had presented itself. And this was, of course, under de Blasio. And we had to do a vision board. And it was several days of the community coming together at Hunter College on 3rd Avenue. And we had different facilitators. And it was by tables, right? So you may have had 8 tables in this particular space. And each table had like a point person, and you discussed different aspects of the zoning. And then it finally came together and became the plan. So that may be something that we would want to look at, and you and I can speak to Angel in regards to that process. And I'll look at all of the stuff that I had at that time, because I was housing chair at that time. And we can kind of brainstorm and put it, why recreate the wheel, right? Reinvent the wheel, and we can probably do something like that here at one of the schools.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity to kind of look at certain spaces in our area.
So that's a good idea.
So I'll
great-
contact Angel.
And I could put maybe, if we start an email, maybe with an outline of what we're looking for in the event once you speak to Angel. That way it'll give us a path forward on how to make this happen quickly. And then also venue ideas. I don't know as far as venues, what we could do. But I don't know if the community board office is big enough, or should we do something at Einstein College, or like I said, a hybrid maybe of having like an online form for those who can attend.
Right, those who can attend.
So make it equitable for everybody. So looking at the proposals, there's 4 goals that these proposals aim to do. They make it easier for businesses to find space and grow. Part of the goal of this community board should be to promote economic development. And the city of Yes gives this board an avenue to go ahead and make it easier for businesses to find space and grow through these initiatives. So I think, again, this is one of the reasons that this committee was formed. Goal number 2, to boost growing industries. There is a lot of industries out there that are growing and they need certain support. A lot of these growing industries don't have the capital or don't have the opportunity to go ahead and rent out a storefront or rent out, one of these flexible office spaces. There's also not a lot of incubator spaces in the Bronx or shared workspaces. So, goal number 2 can definitely help boost growing industries. Goal number 3, enabling more business-friendly streetscapes. There's a lot of industrial areas, on the outskirts of town. There's a lot of areas where a lot of the outdated zoning regulations are not letting it be very business-friendly. And I'm not talking about residential areas. We definitely want to protect the character of our community. But there are areas of town that could be a little more business friendly, more commuter friendly, more pedestrian friendly. And I believe that that's what we could do with goal number 3. And then with goal number 4, creating opportunities for businesses to open. We're going to go through each and every proposal and you'll see, that as a whole, the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity is going to create new opportunities for businesses to open. Now, I've had like a lot of opportunity to go ahead and read through this stuff for months. So if I sound like I'm selling this at a car dealership, forgive me. My background is sales, my historical background, and then currently I'm in civil engineering. So, I think that, those two things might make it sound like I'm a political plant or somebody from the mayor's office, and I'm really not. So, let's talk about goal number 1, making it easier for businesses to find a space and grow. There's a lot of vacant storefronts, and there's a lot of rules in here that need to be changed in order for these vacant storefronts to be able to be rented out. I know a lot of us drive around and we see these gated up storefronts and those stay empty for years. You're like, why is that storefront closed? Well, there's outdated regulations that if your storefront is closed for a certain period of time, I think 2 years or so, right? Landlords, they're not able to go ahead and rent that storefront out. So, not only is that affecting, the ability for businesses to find spaces and to grow, it's also creating an eyesore for our neighborhoods. And then there's a lot of arbitrary distinctions about where businesses can locate, even on opposite sides of the same street. We were talking about, cannabis regulations and, how one cannabis store is able to be 1,000 feet away from the other. These types of arbitrary distinctions, they exist even for the smallest types of businesses. So if you're asking yourself, well, why do we have so many delis or so many smoke shops on one corner or so many bodegas on one corner? Well, these types of arbitrary distinctions, this is what we need to work on with the city so that we can go ahead and affect real change on it. Modern clean manufacturing businesses can't locate in central areas because our rules hasn't kept up with environmental regulations. As climate change begins to affect, as people begin to make more noise about climate change, and the city begins to implement more initiatives about clean energy, clean manufacturing, as we begin to shed more light on the air quality in the Bronx and the cross Bronx air quality studies, this is one of those goals that we could look at and say, wait a minute, we've been waiting for an opportunity to affect real change when it comes to clean manufacturing and to keep up with environmental regulations in the Bronx. Well, this is one of those goals that's going to help us. And again, these zoning terms, we're talking about rules, arbitrary distinctions that haven't been updated since the 60s. And this is an ever-changing city. So goal number 1 goes into proposal number 1, lifting lifetime limits, lift time limits on reactivating storefronts. One of the proposals that we're voting on is currently zoning allows for businesses in R5, R7 districts to reoccupy vacant space regardless of how long the non-conforming storefront has been empty. The issue though is R1 through R4 and R8 through R10 and historic districts are excluded from these provisions. Meaning commercial spaces in these areas that are vacant for more than 2 years are not permitted to be reoccupied, contributing to long-term vacancies. So the proposal is expand existing provisions to all resident districts and historic districts. The image there has a storefront on Allerton Avenue, and it's in a residential district. It can't be reoccupied if it were to go vacant for more than 2 years. I know that we have somebody from the Allerton Avenue Association probably on this meeting here. But
I have a question
yeah,
on
go ahead.
that. And so I'm gonna come at it as a person who doesn't understand zoning, right, and all the other provisions.
Mhm.
Because where Sal and Dom's is, there was a Chinese restaurant, maybe diagonal from it, that is no longer there. They moved a couple of months ago, and now they're on Williamsbridge Road. I'm assuming, and I haven't spoken to the former owner of that restaurant, that the rent went up. Right?
Mhm.
So having my particular background, I automatically assume, well, it's vacant because of rent, right? Because if you're asking a certain amount of money per month and the location, a new person looking at that space is going to say, wait a minute, I can't really afford that, because in a restaurant business, technically 5 years, you're losing money, right? And so that you have to think about that. And then of course, location. So I guess I'm stuck on that, what we're talking about now and
Right.
how that relates to rent.
So that is a very good point. Because that location may be empty because that landlord decided to not rent it to
Right.
somebody for a cheaper rate.
Right.
But on the flip side, it's been what, a few years since COVID, so like it could be also that storefront was also empty since that time period. So there's a number of ways to look at it. But yes, the increase in rents could have a hand to play on that.
Just to add on to that, by economic standards, like let's say for example one of the storefronts is vacant for 2 years and can't be replaced because it's specifically within one of those zonings that restricts it. There's minimum supply of areas that you can potentially open up shop in. So given that, and if you're a business owner or you're owning property and you know that if anyone wants to open a business and there's only a limited amount of like storefronts available, then arguably you can charge like a higher price for that value. So
Or to piggyback the interest, right? So Sylvan, a learning center, wanted to come in our area at one particular point in time. And whichever building they was looking at in the Allerton Avenue area, they had some issue. Basically, they didn't want a learning center in the area. And so what's in that particular space now is like a bike shop or whatever. So the question becomes, you would rather put a bike shop as opposed to a learning center for kids that would benefit within this district, because we know kids are now struggling and have been struggling for years in school.
I think that's more of a question on like the business, the whoever else.
Well, it kind of pertains to the whole zoning thing. When you talk about commercial spaces, some commercial spaces that are gone vacant for a certain
So-
amount of time. I may want to put a learning center. Are you going to block me from that?
So-
I'm pretty sure there's other proposals that do address that.
So yeah, there's probably other proposals that address something like that. But for this specific proposal number 1, we're talking about that 2-year provision that doesn't permit businesses or locations to be reoccupied. So, if we can't reoccupy that location, guess what? We can't get a learning center there. We can't get a blood center there. We can't get an adult senior center there. So proposal number 1 aims to reactivate these locations that have been closed for more than 2 years and can't reopen for those types of things. But I really appreciate you bringing awareness to that, and I'm hoping that as we go through this, there'll be
2 does
another
that.
proposal that could address that. Oh, so here we go. Proposal 2, simplifying rules for business types allowed on commercial streets. So you were just mentioning, bike shops. A common neighborhood retail business, such as a bike shop, movie theater, or mini golf, face outdated restrictions on where they can locate. So it might push them into an area where we might need a different type of business. So, this proposal number 2 to go ahead and simplify these rules it will allow businesses to locate in C1 and C2 districts, and in C4 and C7 districts, through 7, creating a common sense fix that strengthens the difference between local and regional commercial streets. Now, I think, again, I mean, that common sense, that's their phrase, that's their wording, not mine. I know that they mentioned that there are many streets where one district, like a C1, is located from across a C2. So you can't open up a business on one side of the street, but you could open it on the other side of the street. So basically, proposal number 2 aims to clarify things like that. And hopefully, you know, if we're talking about giving our recommendations, you know, when it comes time to vote, I think that you should incorporate bringing to light the types of businesses that we would like to see there. I mean, I don't know what kind of pool we would have, but having that recommendation on the record tied to proposal number 2, I think would go a long way.
I mean, it's important. I mean, that we have some type of selection, right?
Yeah.
Variety in communities. I'm tired of seeing the same restaurants.
Mhm.
You know, we are a melting pot, right? There are more cultures here, so we should look like that. You know,
Yeah.
our opportunities should look like that.
So, you know, and again, I love that, and that's exactly what we should be doing. And if we're gonna build on what you just said, right? So if we're talking about what types of businesses can people open up in a C1 or a C2 under this new proposal, well, obviously you're gonna have, you know, mixed use residential facilities. You're gonna have community facilities. Somebody can go ahead with their nonprofit, open up a community facility, or, you know, a for-profit community facility. Retail uses, so, you know, you want to see a different type of business that's not a restaurant, maybe a different type of retail business, different types of offices, personal and business services, entertainment uses. So, you know, to go out and get entertainment, we have to kind of go out of the Bronx. So we're going to have, you know, more opportunities in C1s and C2s for entertainment type businesses. Transient accommodations, I think that they mean Airbnbs by that. We would need clarification on what they mean by transient accommodations.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to put an asterisk on that. Transient can mean many, many things. And then wholesale establishments. With wholesale establishments, I feel like that would give people the opportunity to maybe open up like micro wholesale distribution businesses. So let's say somebody wants to import products from the Caribbean, or somebody wants to import products from Spain, or maybe somebody just has an idea at home of importing a number of different products, and, you know, maybe they live above a commercial establishment, and that commercial establishment's empty. They're like, well, you know, I could open up a little wholesale business in that C1, C2, and sell my products to other, you know, businesses in the area, like a micro wholesale
And
business.
just to add on to that, if you combine that with proposal 5, which we will talk about, you're able to, if it's already in a C1 through C6, you're able to then have multiple businesses above floor, multiple storied buildings. So it just combines with that.
So, you know, it is about giving opportunity, and I feel like it is about diversifying the types of businesses. You know, because like, although the example is like, oh, C1 on one side and C2 on the other, there are many areas of the Bronx that may just be a C1 or may just be a C2. And then that means that the residents of our community are going to have to either travel outside of that C1 area. You know, they may have to walk a few blocks, they may have to take a bus. I'm not quite sure what the distance is in all the C1s and C2s or C4 to C7 areas. But I think it would be great to make it more convenient for our residents to be able to access the different types of businesses that would benefit from this proposal, number 2. You guys have anything you want to add to that? Okay.
It seems proposal 2 seems administrative again, like proposal 1 seems administrative, like it's just cleaning up the rules, existing rules. So I mean, yeah, these are pretty easy to go forward with.
If we could go back one to proposal number 2 in detail, I want to touch base on C4 through 6 and 3 and C7. So basically they're just adding on these uses into C7. So they already existed in C4 through 6. but they weren't allowed in C7s. So this is just an expansion into C7 because it made more sense. Community facilities, retail uses, offices, amusement and places of worship, personal and business services, entertainment uses, custom manufacturing, wholesale establishments. So again, it's just expanding the areas that these C4 through C6s could be at, giving C7 areas the opportunity to have these community facilities and these other types of businesses, which may not have been available there. So again, there may have been some businesses that you brought up earlier that were not allowed in C7s, and they will be under these proposals. So again, like Rich said, it's administrative. They're just trying to clean it up and make it into something that makes more sense.
So for the record, we're not gonna be able to change the zoning per se.
Right.
What we're doing is cleaning up the zoning, right? We're not changing C7s and C6s and C4s. We're not doing that. What we're doing is we're just clarifying and cleaning it up.
Right.
Because
Right.
these things exist already.
Let's talk about proposal 3. Expanding opportunities for small scale clean production. So this is like a maker business, like somebody that, does apparel making, bakeries, breweries, ceramics, 3D printing, which is really taking off, jewelry making, CNC machines, like these people that have, it's like a 3D printer, but you're able to mill things out of metal. So like if you needed to make some sort of metal fitting or a type of screw or a specialty bracket, instead of ordering this part from some manufacturer in Silicon Valley, you're going to be able to go ahead and order this part from a neighbor in the Bronx. So currently commercial districts, they permit a limited range of production uses, some which are obsolete, but many which are excluded. They exclude that production type from these storefronts or office settings. So maker businesses that could rely on retail foot traffic or prefer to locate near customers are only permitted in less accessible industrial areas. So a lot of these bakeries, that they produce themselves, they can't open up in residential areas unless they were grandfathered in. These t-shirt, hoodie manufacturers, jewelry makers, instead of being accessible to people that are walking by and might want, maybe just one piece of jewelry, they have to open up in industrial areas and try to have a business model that caters to wholesale manufacturing. And it's a little tough if you're somebody with one 3D printing machine or just somebody with a small station to make jewelry.
To your point, Gun Hill Brewery is on Gun Hill Road, but if you go to it, it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sure they would want to be somewhere where it's more commercial, more foot traffic. So proposal 3 would clean that up, where a Gun Hill Brewery could be in a place that's more commercial. Because if you go to Gun Hill Brewery now, you have to literally drive over there and take the bus, but it's kind of, it looks like
It
work.
is next to Social Security,
And-
so that explains a lot.
Yeah. So I get it.
Nice, right? Like to have it.
Yeah, no, that would be
area
great.
that we could walk to, feel a little
True.
safer at night.
Yeah.
walking.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
because there's not a lot of lighting over
There's
there.
no lighting, yeah, and it's in a bunch of next to a bunch of mechanics.
Yeah.
So proposal number 3, what they want to do is allow this type of small scale, clean production type of business. This isn't, as you can see, I mean, they're not businesses that are going to emit a lot of fumes and things like that. I mean, jewelry making, yes, there is some heating elements involved. 3D printing, these 3D printers, they have ventilation on them. It's akin to like a network rack or like a server with the amount of fumes or, things that it lets out. So these proposals, they're going to allow for a limit, right, in storefronts and office buildings. So it's going to be in between 5,000 up to 5,000 square feet in C1 and C2 districts. And it's going to be limited to 10,000 square feet on ground floor in between C4 and C7 districts. Obviously, you're going to have your ABC and right to know environmental standards. There's going to be state liquor authority regulations in this, and anything else that has to do with licensing from the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection is also going to be, applicable to these types of businesses. So there is going to be regulation when it comes to this from other agencies, but we are just talking about these zoning proposals, because I didn't want to touch on
I mean,
regulation.
it's good. This is good. My concern, of course, is the oversaturation, right? And just becoming too much of one or many things.
I think it would depend on the market at that point.
Right, and I get that, and I go back to the growth spots, right?
Yeah.
The marijuana, like you have, that's the fastest growing business that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, with the vapes and
Yeah,
stuff. Oh yeah.
and it's just the way that it's taking over
Oh yeah.
and
yeah.
buying up commercial spaces. It's
Every
just-
every place that's dead turned into a
right.
smoke shop.
We just can't allow that to be.
So now there'll be more options.
Now there will be
That's a
more
good
options.
point. So they're all stuck. To, yeah, that's a good point.
So when they get busted and they get closed down, now there's more options to expand different retail space, retail type of spaces.
So like there was a gentleman here last night at the Economic Development Committee meeting, and he mentioned 600,000 for an investment into his marijuana dispensary. Can you imagine a $600,000 investment into a 3D printing facility? Or a $600,000 investment into a ceramics business that could teach community ceramics and host events for the community? It's not even going to probably be 600,000 because you don't
Yeah.
need so much security. You don't need so much tech. So businesses with a lot less capital are going to be able to take advantage of these types of rezoning efforts.
I think. Ken, you have a comment? I can't.
Oh, Ken, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. My question is this. Right now, from the way I read this, except if it's under 5,000 feet, you can be able to go up anywhere in any height in any of the residential buildings. Am I correct about that?
I don't know the answer to that.
And the C1 and C2 districts, there seems to be an unlimited amount of businesses in the residential buildings. You don't know if you can't tell me if I'm correct about that.
No, I cannot.
But we can
find out.
we can find out. We'll gather
Okay,
all the
thank you.
questions and send them out to
Yeah.
Young, and
Can you type through your question in the comment section?
yeah, we'll get that out tonight tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great question, Ken.
C1, C2.
Any other questions? Should we check the comment section?
Sorry, one more question. Are there an unlimited, now you're also talking about we haven't talked about storefronts in residential districts yet, have we?
No, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, I'll save my question until later.
Okay, I think it's coming up soon though. Proposal 4, let's keep it moving. Modernizing loading dock rules so buildings can adapt over time. I remember when they had the City of Yes Town Hall, somebody had mentioned that we don't need more loading docks. And I agree. You know, in residential areas, I don't think we need more loading docks per se. I think that this is a proposal that, you know, we would want to hear from people in depth and really talk about it. And again, I'm just going to run through it. Currently, the zoning requires that the number of loading berths be based on the mix of uses currently occupying a building, unlike parking requirements, which do not change as buildings evolve over time. The issue, they say, when existing businesses expand or new types of businesses move into an existing building, they may be required to provide more loading bays than they need. This is often unnecessary and cost prohibitive. The proposal, remove the mandate for new tenants in existing buildings to provide additional loading berths based on a change in use, allowing building occupancy to evolve over time.
So you're allowing a reduction.
Includes other organizational changes. Wow, so okay, so then this rule or this proposal is actually allowing for a reduction in the amount of loading docks. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that's how I'm understanding it. So if there's the removal for a mandate, because if I'm opening up a business, right? Let's say I'm opening up a micro distribution business or a micro wholesale business. You know, I could move a lot of this stuff through a 36-inch doorway, you know, with a push cart or a hand truck, or just just brute force hand carrying it. Why would I need to build or look for a location or as a building owner, if I want to attract these types of businesses, why do I need to build a loading dock? Especially if my building classification changed and I'm in a residential area.
Or if you already have a a loading dock, you can then remove it if the next person who wants to move in doesn't need that space.
Right.
So it could just be replaced with something else, and the space could then be converted to something that could be used for that new business.
Right.
If it
But this is
doesn't-
not really our catchment area per se, right? Because I'm trying to picture where we would have, I'm thinking Hunts Point when you talk about.
I
loading
would
docks,
imagine.
so I would.
Right. So imagine that somebody buys a building in Van Nest, right? And they decide, okay, I'm gonna make this mixed use. But part of that has to be like the agreement or something in the zoning regulations require that to have a loading dock
For that business.
for that building, not necessarily the business. We're
Right.
talking about when they're building the building.
Right.
So you're already opening up that neighborhood to trucks coming in and out just by just having that requirement of a loading dock in
Mhm.
that building. So if we could get rid of this type of requirement, we can ensure that there's less loading docks being built. We already have enough.
Right.
We don't need any zoning regulations or outdated zoning regulations giving people the opportunity to build more loading docks.
Mhm.
And that may come back to bite me with like some developer or somebody that like loves building loading docks, but we really don't need any more, or do we?
No, I mean.
I don't know why we would need
I-
loading docks, but yeah, I want to ask them where this rule come from. Who pitched the who lobbied for this rule because it's very specific.
It might apply to other boroughs more than the Bronx.
No, yeah, you're right, and that's why I want to clarify because I'm like that. To your point, it might not affect us, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like,
Because it's very specific.
Yeah,
It's
it's a very
very specific.
this is ugly. I don't want more.
Anything next to the water, anything next, as
Maybe-
they're developing around water.
Yeah, yeah.
housing.
Oh, you're right.
So why take up a loading dock when you want residential
Okay.
buildings?
Okay.
And
Sorry. My question, I have a question about loading docks now.
Yeah.
When you don't have the loading dock, isn't it very often that if the space has a nice rent, they're going to try to get by those 36-inch doors, even without the loading docks, even when they should have a loading dock for it. And people and businesses will try to take advantage of the buildings like that and put in facilities that really should have a loading dock. Is there any way? Are you going to have any regulations limiting the businesses without that can go into buildings without loading docks?
that is another excellent question, Ken. And we're gonna put that into our list of questions that we're gonna ask the Department of Land Use.
Do us a favor, type
Thank
that
you.
out again. Type
Yeah,
that out
clarity.
so we can send it over.
What?
Can you type it in the chat so we could put it into with the other
I'll
questions?
try.
Thank
I try to remember exactly that. Did you want both of those? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
just so we have it concisely like you said it.
I will try to do it, and it's not going to be exactly the same.
Or just email us later. It's fine too. Don't worry.
Who do I email it to?
Jeremy, for now, since you may not have our email.
Or is this the tune?
No, to Jeremy.
Send it to Jeremy.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or comments on proposal 4? All right, Edgar had mentioned this one earlier, and I believe that Ken was touching on this as well. This is proposal number 5, enabling commercial activity on upper floors. Currently, there's special purpose districts in MX districts and in areas where Article 1, Chapter 5 applies. Commercial or light industrial uses may occupy the same floor or locate above residences. The issue: in the rest of the city, commercial uses are not allowed on the same level as or above residences, which limits for building renovations and new mixed-use buildings. Proposal number 1, allow commercial uses on the second floor of a residential building in all commercial districts. Permit commercial above or on the same level as residences in C4, C5, or C6. Physical separation required between residential and non-residential portions of the building. Potentially noisy uses must have minimum of 15 feet of separation or materials to attenuate any excessive sound. I'm gonna open up the floor to that one, because I have a lot of reservations about that, but I don't wanna like shoot it down right away.
Mixed sentiments there for sure. I mean, the benefit is that if there's more commercial space available, so that just provides more supply for people if they want to start a business. Or
I mean, it plays to the fact of COVID, right? And a lot of people started home businesses
Yeah.
during that time,
you can legalize
right?
it.
But what type of business are you talking about, right?
And who's
'Cause
gonna regulate it?
Who's gonna regulate it,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the most important. Who is gonna regulate it? Because if you have, a web design,
Mhm.
right? That's one thing. That's not gonna hurt anybody. But if now you start to make signs, which cause for some type of heavy equipment, that's weight upon, in a unit that's not really meant to hold that type of weight. I just remember in Brooklyn way back there was one of our buildings had a fire. And it had a fire based on someone having a business in their apartment, and they had a massive server.
Oh, yeah, those heat
Okay.
up.
A massive server, and they're supposed to be under heavy air conditioning. And he had it in his room,
Yeah.
and we were renovating the entire building, and it caught fire. And I had a casualty.
Wow.
So those are the type of things when I hear commercial spaces within residential units, we have to be very specific on what type of business.
Yeah, I agree. Completely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like I think about it, I'm like, well, on the same level as residential, above residential, if this business, let's say, I don't know, if it's somebody producing dry ice,
Right.
or a lot of these cocktail parties and things like that, or dry ice blasting, which is used for cleaning, and you're producing dry ice, which uses carbon dioxide and chemical reactions, and you have all this machinery above residential, who's to say that a leak from carbon dioxide isn't gonna come into the building and, affect people? Then there's this whole freight elevator idea that they have for the C4, C6s. So, are you saying that now building owners are gonna be able to adjust their building layout and put in a freight elevator, causing even less residential units in the area and charge more rent? I mean, how's that going to affect, rental values and property values in the area? I don't know. There's just like a lot
There's
in
pros
there.
and cons.
Huh?
It's pros and cons.
Yeah. I mean, again, yeah, it's pros and cons. I don't know if anybody, Hazel.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I was on the Metro North webinar, so I'm sorry I'm late. Yeah,
no
my biggest concern with this one is, like when they made the presentation, they have brought up like people wanting to do hair in the house or maybe nails. That's all that's all chemical use. And it's bad now that I'm getting complaints from tenants because everybody's smoking marijuana. I'm gonna get a lot of complaints about people smelling the chemicals used in the hair dye, and the chemicals being used, for the nails, the acrylics, and all that. So that's one of my biggest concerns about that. And then if to build a freight elevator, it's Ego, you're right. You have to take something away from the building, maybe an apartment, a whole apartment, or maybe partial apartment, in order to put in a freight elevator. And so landlords, the landlord may not want to do this, and now because of the zoning, you're right. There are a lot of concerns about this.
And Hazel, just to piggyback off what you just said, because you mentioned landlords, right? And we're living in an area right now where landlords really have no weight, right? So can you imagine a tenant? And we know why you would want a home business, because it's cheaper, right? You don't have to pay for a commercial space.
Yeah, the rent's cheap.
The rent's cheaper. And also you have to ask, what does that insurance look like?
Yep.
Do they even have insurance?
Yeah.
Right? But then you look at the landlords and say, well, landlords are losing power as it becomes to the rents, right? A lot of tenants owing a lot of rent. Now you put this factor into the mix. What does that look like? Right? If this tenant happens to cause a fire, what does that look like?
Who's live?
Right,
Who's liable?
I think
Right.
this proposal reminds me of whoever's worked in around 34th Street in Midtown.
Right.
34th Street, those buildings, if you go into, it'll be one building is fabrics, the second floor is computer science, the last floor is another business. This proposal just reminds me of that. I think they're trying to move that concept to other places. And I get it, obviously. You get a lot more businesses diversified around the city, but I mean, you know, we may not want that. So it may work in 34th Street for sure, but I mean,
Especially when you see lofts coming back.
yep.
Right? And you wonder if that's something that, you know, you have to watch out for.
So we're shaky on this one.
I can see a landlord having 3 floors or 2 floors of commercial use and then a 3rd floor, 4th floor loft.
Yeah.
Whole
You
floor.
can
Why
just
wouldn't you?
charge arm and a
Price
leg.
people out of-
Why
out of
wouldn't you?
neighborhood.
Yeah, you can charge it arm and a leg.
I can see that happening. I want to know what type of protections they have.
And that's what it's all about, right? This is zoning, but there's an administrative part to it.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's
And
you said
that's-
that's the first thing you said. And that to be
That's-
honest, we're flying blind because we can agree to all of this stuff and then not know what the rules are behind them.
Right, the devil is in the details, so we just have to be proactive on a lot.
Proposal 6.
Does he have another question?
Hazel, did you have another question?
no. Oh, I'll put my hand down, sorry.
Proposal 6, simplify and modernize the way businesses are classified in zoning. I mentioned this earlier. There's a lot of outdated zoning regulations. We're talking again 1960s classification of industries to regulate where businesses cannot locate and categorize uses into use groups of businesses deemed compatible or similar at the time. Obviously, there are businesses that are still around today in the Bronx that were around in the 1960s, but at the same time, I think that what they're trying to do is cater to, you know, newer businesses and opportunities for new businesses to come in. So the issue they say is outdated use terms and inconsistent categorizations results in a zoning resolution that is difficult for businesses to know where they can locate and what they can do with their space. The proposal aims to reorganize the current use groups into more coherent categories based on similar sector or business type and updating terminology based on today's economy. Update special district rules to refer to these new classifications and the other adjustments that bring special districts in alignment with the proposal. I think that this is a very good proposal that's gonna, again, update zoning resolutions and make it easier for people to know what kind of business they could open up where. And I think it plays hand in hand with some of the other proposals that we looked at. So currently they have use groups 6, 7, 9, and 10. This proposal creates new use groups. It categorizes 6, 7, 9, and 10 into one group of 6, which is retail and services. And then it gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's allowing for
Just a general.
this is-
general categorization.
So this
like-
is again like an administrative kind of transparent kind of new way to look at these categories.
Right.
Not that they're changing anything structurally, just the way they're being categorized.
Right. It doesn't mean that we're going to be able to have an agricultural business down the street here
Yeah.
in you know, in the Bronx. And it doesn't mean that they're going to give us one more community facility if we wanted it or a public service facility. It just means that they're reorganizing these categories.
Mhm.
So, you know, we may not see a lot of these types of businesses and we may not be able to benefit from some of these use groups, but let's hope that we get to benefit from some of them. You know, they talk about goal number 2 now, boosting growing industries. So what they've done is that they separate the various proposals into their various goals.
Mhm.
So now the next set of proposals that we're gonna look into is for life science laboratories, you know, dancing and comedy shows, amusements like mini golf, virtual reality, maybe indoor skydiving, and businesses like indoor agriculture and commercial areas. You know, like these rooftop wineries that they have in Brooklyn
Yeah.
and things like that. I mean, damn, that would be really cool to have like a rooftop winery in the Bronx, or like a micro, you know, agricultural business in the Bronx. I think that would be really cool. And I feel like, you know, let's see what they talk about, because maybe it'll give some opportunities in that.
The only thing, and I hate to be, I don't wanna be a Debbie Downer.
No, you're
is,
not.
No, it's. you got to.
You know, our community is changing. And it's going from, you know, the tight little neighborhood to commercial. Right? Especially when you live on a commercial avenue such as Morris Park. And I just think about residents and, you know, foot traffic and noise. Again, it's all about moderation, right? So comedy club, I would love to have a local comedy club, but I don't want 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
The bar, the rooftop winery is wonderful. 149th Street, that's what they have with the old post office,
Yes,
right?
yeah. Yep.
It-
Very nice,
it's-
very nice.
I mean,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
you know, I would love to have something like that in close
Zona de
proximity.
Cuba, Zona de Cuba.
That right,
Yeah.
to where we live, but we just don't want 4 of them.
Saturated.
It's saturation of them.
At the end of the day, that's it's gonna be supply and demand. At the end of the day, if there's enough people that want that many businesses, then that ends up being.
But it can't be, and I'm gonna say something right now, like, how many jerk chicken places do we need? How many, you know, I need variety. Like, I can go to Manhattan and I can say, oh, I want Mediterranean food, and I can go get Mediterranean food. I can say I want Indian food, and I can't say that here.
You know,
And that's a problem.
That's a good thing to bring up at our community vision board, because not only is the city going to have access to the information, but we're going to invite business owners,
Right.
Yeah.
prospective entrepreneurs, people that have capital to invest back in our community that can take advantage of these proposals and give us that
Mhm.
variety. And I think, like, you know, that the vision board session is a good opportunity to
That is-
drive that point home.
Yep.
Maybe to the point that we can make a special segment about the businesses that the community wants to see.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you share that information, then they're more likely to take that in and be like, hey, this is what people want.
As a business owner, if I see that, oh, the community's talking about what they want, guess what? I'm more than likely to invest
Right.
in that type of business, because there's already a demand.
Yeah.
I just need to create the supply. 7, clarifying rules to permit indoor urban agriculture. Now, aside from the previous proposal that allows commercial in residential, let's just kind of like shift gears into this, right? Agriculture is allowed outside or in a greenhouse in any zoning district, but indoor agriculture is only permitted in manufacturing districts. The issue is, as technologies change, entrepreneurs can increasingly grow food for their communities indoors, but zoning has not kept up to allow for this activity. Florists and plant shop owners, they also face confusing zoning rules on how to operate their business with indoor and outdoor components. The proposal aims to clarify how enclosures and rules work to ensure that businesses with passive outdoor spaces, such as florists, can operate and permit agriculture indoors in seed districts. One of the things that I've been looking at, and I was helping somebody with a business plan, they have a photo of it in the background here. These microgreens, you know, you're able to grow in jars, basically, and in small shelves and racks. Fruits, vegetables, microgreens, things that can be sold to local businesses like smoothie shops, juice bars, restaurants, and it could come from a local supplier. You know, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a storefront. It could be in an industrial area. Then there's also florists and plant shops. Some of these people, they have a small space up front as their showroom, and then the back of that area is all like basically empty storage. And they could do something with that. They could grow their own flowers versus having to get them imported through Hunts Point, or having to leave their business to go pick them up. Or maybe they might want to start a small distribution center in the back of their plant shop, and then other florists in the area can go ahead and come and pick them up. You know, and that's just my 2 cents on that. I really believe that this poses some good opportunities for additional types of businesses in our area.
I'm just hearing FDA, FDA, FDA.
Yeah.
You know, when you say grow your own food, vegetables, and now you're dispersing that out to the public.
Yeah, I think
I I just
we
want
need to clarify what agriculture means.
Yeah.
Like, what is agriculture per this proposal, per the city? I agree completely with what you said, Edward, in terms of the florist I go to is in Hunts Point because that's where they have the space. It's a huge warehouse where they have the zoning, I guess, but that would be great if we had that nearby. So I guess we could maybe clarify what agriculture means, because I know for a fact our constituents are going to probably think this is just marijuana.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the beef I don't want. I want to clarify that this is not just that. It could be a bunch of stuff, but we don't know what that is. So I think we should probably clarify because we're gonna get it. We're gonna hear it anyway.
Actually, one
Yeah.
other question about this. I'm looking at this and I see a very high weight load on the floors here. Are there any restrictions on to what type of buildings they could be in because of the weight load?
That is another good question.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah,
questions.
we kind of mentioned that before, right, with the machine.
So if it's in a frame building, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, it's not gonna be able to support a lot of weight
Right,
Yeah.
versus something that's,
That
of course, concrete slab.
right.
this is very specific, more at least specific to agriculture. At least this one, because it looks like most of those jars have water in them, and water is very heavy.
Right,
Yep,
Yeah,
right.
good question.
good question, Ken.
And it aligns with businesses being started in the home.
Yeah,
Weight load,
yeah.
Yep,
Just because you're in the C district doesn't mean it's okay.
right.
right.
All right, cool.
Moving on. Proposal number 8. I know that this was very, it was brought up by a number of people at the town hall. And it was something that the community sentiment was split on giving life sciences or life science companies the certainty to grow. I'm going to run through it, but yeah, we need more clarity on this. So currently zoning regulations, they're outdated in terms of allowing labs to operate in certain areas. And they want to clarify the definition of a laboratory
Mhm.
to allow any life science business to locate in C districts if it can meet environmental standards that protect neighbors.
Mhm.
So my concern is who's going to be enforcing the regulation on this? Whose environmental standards? Is it federal? Is it state? Is it local? Is it DP? Is it, you know, is it, again, like who is it? Is it the WHO? You know, like what are they doing in this lab in a C district that could also have residents right above it? And then, you know, they want them to allow commercial life science facilities to locate on community facility campuses by special CPC permits. So if you're putting a private commercial life science business on the same campus as a community facility, are there any conflicts of interest? Like, you know, what are we looking at here? So this proposal, I think it's a red flag all over for me.
I think
I feel
Columbia
the
did this.
opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Given our community and we're nearby Einstein Hospital, I imagine that this would create new business opportunities there locally, allowing for different types of business to operate nearby there, given that there's like a whole like literally educational campus and hospital area. So combine
Yeah.
having the opportunity for them to be able to add on to some life science buildings, maybe allow them to be able to perform their teaching opportunities and their, you know, just helping out people well-being quicker.
I would be very careful,
It's-
only because
There's pros and cons.
this screams Columbia.
Yeah, if you just
to
said
me.
Columbia, that
Yeah.
freaks me out.
You know,
And
and
I know what Columbia did.
And-
The Heights,
that
Yeah,
whole,
they bought the whole thing.
we're still suffering over that.
I hide my head because I remember when Columbia had a very nice meeting with all the ministers in Harlem.
Really?
To smoosh them into coming into the community, buying a property, and you have the whole 12th Avenue, right? So Einstein is a very big hospital. Montefiore is a very big hospital. We need to tread lightly when we start, you know, with this.
You know,
Just
you-
in my opinion.
You change the zoning and these developers, these institutions with a lot of capital, they will buy these buildings.
I mean,
Yeah,
look
and
how
then
fast.
they'll do what they can, which is whatever we agreed
Look how
to.
fast Montefiore is growing. I mean, if you look at the Green Building and Hutchinson, what is that, Hutchinson Towers? That's a lot of, you know, area.
Yeah, it's a lot of green.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of green
That's a
for
lot of
them
green,
to
But
spill into.
and I'm not knocking these organizations and what they're doing, but you know, again, we need to have some protection for our residents to make sure that they're not priced out of these neighborhoods, especially if some of these zoning proposals take effect. You know, if a hospital starts buying buildings, you know, who's to say that it's not gonna turn into a C1 through 7 building with, you know, freight elevators and all of the above? And a loft on the very
And a
top.
loft on the very top.
It's interesting because this is just gonna affect in C districts. So it'd probably be like the nearby C districts to like the hospital, for example. At least right now, I don't know what that type of environment is right now in terms of like what's the demand for businesses there. But if there's like if it's a lot if there's like empty storefronts nearby there, then this could be a positive, could then allow the opportunity for some business to come in. But like you're saying beforehand, it's there's a possibility of like expansion and then people getting like priced out or something.
Ken,
Ken, you have a question?
anybody?
No? Okay.
At least with that one, I think we just need to ask more questions.
Nightlife. I love this one. So, I remember when I moved to New York, I moved to Washington Heights. It was about 12 or 13 years ago. And I remember going to down St. Nicholas. I remember going down up Broadway. I remember going down Dykeman, 207th Street, and being able to have tons of options for nightlife. At the same time, I remember attending a lot of community board meetings, a lot of precinct council meetings where there was a lot of noise complaints. There was a lot of issues with fighting that spilled on into the streets, knife stabbings, shootings, so I know what comes also with something like proposal number 9.
Right.
And another thing that resonated with the community sentiment and myself was the community character, right? A lot of people have been living here for a very long time.
Yep.
I just moved here in April, but I know that I moved here because part of the character, charm of this neighborhood. Now, do I like the fact that I have to leave town in order to go? Hi. Do I like the fact that I have to leave town in order to enjoy some nightlife with my wife or go out to a comedy club? No, I don't like that, but I like the fact that we don't have the overflow of double parking that we have in Washington Heights. We don't have the amount of violence spilling out into the streets, the noise complaints, just I mean, if you were to drive around Washington, I love Washington Heights. They welcomed me, when I first moved to New York as a accepted transplant, but driving around there is impossible. Riding a bike is very dangerous because there's double and triple parking everywhere because of the nightlife. So, if we're doing this proposal, it has to be done responsibly. So where are these cars going to park? Is there going to be additional enforcement? Is there going to be a limit so we're not oversaturated? So I mean, those are my thoughts on this.
What's the proposal? What
I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
skipped
fine. No,
over
that's
that.
fine. No, I'm wondering what exactly they want.
So they want to clarify zoning regulations to allow basically more types of businesses with like live entertainment within the operation. 200-person capacity businesses in C1 to C3, larger like knife venues in C4 to C8 and M1 to M3. And when I'm talking larger, we're talking about like the City Winery type larger.
Yeah.
You're talking about like Brooklyn Bowl type larger. And then life night venues, obviously, they're still going to be subject to permitting and enforcement by agencies such as the DOB, FDNY, and the State Liquor Authority.
And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, it probably doesn't, but what I'm thinking of is, I'm noticing in private houses, right? And this is something to help pay your mortgage, is that you turn your backyard into a clubhouse.
Yep.
Right? And because it's on my block.
Okay.
And every Wednesday, this person would have, he's frying, whatever he's doing, but he's selling drinks and it's double parked in my area. And I'm so scared of for residential houses to do this.
Oh, no, this is.
But I know this
area.
is a commercial area, right? But it's just, I'm thinking about that because who's to say someone can't get a permit or license depending on where I'm living, my zone,
If it's
if
a-
that makes sense.
Well, if
If
you're
it's
living in a
seasonal.
C1 through C8 or a manufacturing zone, well, then yes, but like when you look at the zoning maps, you might see a C1 in an area like this,
Right,
right? A commercial strip, or a C2 in a commercial strip,
but
and then-
not along
but not in,
in.
right? So
okay.
like if we go right outside and make a right, you have commercial up until the tattoo shop and I think
Right.
one more door,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
There's
And then
one more
that's
door.
it.
Yep.
After that, it's all residential.
Right,
So, you know, the C district ends right over there.
okay.
But to your point, so let's say the tattoo place leaves, a nightclub opens up. Then the neighbors start, going crazy because of the noise. Right. So that's the risk maybe. Because you could now have a nightclub in there and they could fit, let's say, let's say
They're
they
capped
have
at 200.
yeah, let's say it's 200, but I mean, I guess the issue with the community would be, then now the parking, the noise, the fighting, etc. So I guess that's the risk.
The risk would be something like that.
Yeah.
The noise, obviously,
Because they're gonna want assurances as to
but nobody's gonna be able to give that type of assurance,
that's the
Yeah.
problem.
right? Like we can't give, as a community board, we can't give an assurance that, hey, this business that opens there is gonna abide by strict noise codes.
Yeah.
But we can do our part to, bring the business in here and say, hey, during the SLA hearing or meeting, be like, hey, remember, be a good neighbor, give them information on the noise codes and noise rules, because
18.
there is noise regulations. There is a New York City noise code
Yeah,
that businesses have to abide by.
So we had this bar before you guys joined on Leidig Avenue. That was a pain in the butt. I mean, there was just constant complaints about this place, and it was yes, it was next to like a bodega, a hair salon, it was full of, and then so just a bunch of businesses. But it was just complaint.
Residential.
Yeah, and it was just we didn't. It was just the constituents calling 311, the cops. Eventually they shut down and they left. You can still pass by
Just
it.
recently,
Yeah.
just about a year or two ago, because I go to the hair salon right next door and she's been there for 18 years. And I asked her, I said, well, how was your interaction with, the owner? And because when they set up the outdoor stuff, they set it up not at the distance of their thing, but in front of her hair salon. So it took away traffic, etc. And she was there, like I said, 18 years, and she had a very bad response from the owner, who basically told her she didn't care. So, and there was no restrictions. But are we talking about cabaret license and stuff like that?
Proposal 9, yeah, it
Yeah,
ties into
okay,
that.
yeah, because that has always been an issue in Community Port 11, cabaret issues, because even though they're allowed to stay open till 4 AM, there's stipulations that used to be able to be negotiated.
so this is where I say we as the community board must start gaining the power, right? Because that right there I shouldn't say it couldn't happen in Harlem, but they put a stop to it. Like the community boards down there do not play, especially Community Board 9, where it's Restaurant Way. They are very strict
About timing.
about timing,
Okay.
right? Because back in the day before COVID, yes, you stayed open till 4. But then community boards was like,
Same
we
thing with-
tired of the 911, we tired of the 311s, we are tired. You're gonna shut down at 2.
So that's
So-
what we had
And-
always had here.
And they are, I mean, when you come before them, you have to have all your ducks in a row. We need to start being like that. Because I'm tired of hearing we don't have the power. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we have to make it so that the agencies respect that power, because right now they don't. And we need to change that narrative.
So with Washington Heights, what a lot of businesses ended up doing was they ended up joining trade associations like the New York State Latino Restaurant Association, the United Restaurant and Lounge Group, the Andrew Ridgey's Restaurant Association. And these associations, they try to guide them on how to be good neighbors. But the community board got to these associations that basically said, hey, we're having issues. We know that you're an influencer in this industry. Talk to your members And, you know, the city would be able to provide them with the resources to share with their members. And then the community board, the way that they started showing their power was at the SLA meetings. So, you know, and again, it sounds messed up, but sometimes you need somebody out there with a noise meter and monitoring these businesses every now and then bringing it up at the SLA meeting. I can't believe I'm, you know, saying this, but like you bring up these noise stats at the SLA meeting and be like, hey, because of this, you don't seem to be a good neighbor. We're not going to renew your license.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I've put restaurants on probation.
Well, I've done
At-
stakeouts.
In the community, I mean, the SLA committee, you know,
And
we
videos.
permits, license and permits, we put
You have to do
businesses
that.
on probation.
I'm just saying, you
And
want to know how you enforce that power or how you
Yeah,
get that
we-
power. It's taking measures like that, I feel, based on what I've seen other people do. And you guys have done it before. So it's like, what's, you know,
We just continue it and keep enforcing. And when liquor licenses come here, people, you gotta negotiate, you have to find out a lot of details, and we have been doing that. We gotta continue it, and something like this is very sensitive. And if you have checked out Community Board 10, because they have the strip East Tremont, because they have had major issues, more than Community Board 11, I mean, just in the last 20 years. But it's still, it's an issue to have your stipulations with your SLA license. You have to go out there. I mean, like I said, I've had my stakeouts at 3:00 in the morning. I got my video. They're supposed to close at 2 a.m. They're not closed at 2 a.m. Okay, that gets all of that stuff, and all of that stuff when they want to renew is there, and it's like you didn't comply.
And let's face it, they're coming up to neighborhoods like us because Brooklyn is expensive, right?
Yeah.
Atlantic Avenue, Fourth, all of that is expensive. Harlem is expensive. So now they're coming into
Well,
our
that's the
borough.
basis.
And, you know, we just have to be mindful because this is a whole nother layer. This is a whole nother layer.
Any
There's something in
questions?
the comment.
No, yeah.
How
How do we see the comments here?
You're gonna have to make
I'm calling it.
hit the middle,
It's
hit the
just-
middle bar. Yeah, hit that.
Somebody
That was
on
new one. Yeah.
currents.
No,
It's camera 1 and camera 2.
see that. Yeah, I think you have to stop sharing. Unfortunately.
I'm following it. You can look at it here.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, Chad, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, good.
All right.
My phone-
Sorry, guys. This is my first time actually doing something like this. So I'm just going to run through the chat real
There
quick.
haven't been any questions.
No questions. City of
Comments.
no. Demographics, we're not conducive. Okay. Areas. Okay.
Too poor.
Yeah. Moving on. This would mean fewer mandated loading docks. Yep. Uh-huh.
It's
Priced
all
out. Yeah, we're trying to reverse the pricing out. We want to live here where there's a lot of 9 to 5, we want closer to it, we want peace and quiet. Thank you, Grace. We to reject the proposal, right? But the responsible thing is also to think about it. Once they rezone the whole city, no, nobody's gonna rezone the whole city, and developers will not swoop in, they already did. Selling alcohol from your backyard may be illegal, definitely, I think, but
Well, it's what people are doing
But-
to pay their mortgage or rent.
So for proposal 9, I think it's a maybe for now, right? Or we say, what are we saying?
no, I mean, we need more clarification. I
Okay.
mean, the city wants to clarify things, but in reality, they created more confusion and more worry. You know, how are they gonna regulate this? And then these quantities of people, I mean, we're talking 200 people. So if
Well, they could buy 2, they could technically buy 3 businesses, knock the walls out.
I know, but have you seen the lines outside of like the Brooklyn Bowl or
Oh,
like
yeah, they're
city
insane.
wineries?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's a line extending past the block over here, you know, in front of somebody's house. And if you're in line, or not you, but I'm saying if somebody's in line and I don't know, maybe they're drunk from a previous party, I mean, they might go relieve
Right.
themselves, you know,
Shootings?
or the shootings and stabbings. I mean, you know, there's a lot
Yes.
there's a lot of questions. And then I know that in a previous safety meeting or public safety meeting and previous precinct council meetings, they've been talking about we don't have enough in the police budget or we're having less police presence. I don't know if that's true. I don't know, you
We
know,
just got new officers, actually.
Did we?
Yeah, I just saw it.
so we need to make
January
sure that
30th, by the way, is 49 precinct, so, but yeah, we just got new officers. But
we need to make sure our precincts are equipped to handle this influx of people and traffic into our community.
We need to not defund the police then.
Any other?
I think, with the zoning, part of it is good, part of it doesn't really speak to our community, but I'm the administrative. What is the because
I think the
even-
administrative is, like, if you go to page 20, it says permitted. So permitted, what is some changes in just the
Incidental dancing is
Right.
permitted.
yeah, like I think that's the rules they want to clarify in terms of the administrative. I think the issue is that you see the last bullet, over 200 person capacity businesses allowed in C4 to C8 and M1 to M3. I think that's the issue, because
That's a lounge, right? A lounge you
yeah,
don't
or a
allow.
club, that's a club at 200
It's a
club.
club.
Club, but then a lounge you don't allow dancing.
Correct. So I think that's the administrative part of this. So if we can rip proposal 9 into pieces, I think we're okay with the lounge dancing, but not the 200 person capacity in C4 to C8.
But
Right.
Let me tell you, and I'm sure from other places, these lines are very, very gray.
No, I know, that's the problem.
As far
yeah.
as lounges, like we have 900 Park, okay, and that was an issue there for a while. Because after 2 a.m. or after a certain time, they turned into a lounge.
Mhm.
There were issues just of, public issues. If, first of all, there's no parking there. Then there was just issues of people, too many people there. The amount of people there, I mean, a lot of the places are not, I mean, all of this is great on paper, but they're not monitored.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the question that the gray area starts, and then it's like, well,
Yeah, and it starts with anyone that's attached to the community. It goes for, the precinct, it goes for the community board, it goes for anyone that's attached to the FDA, right? When we talk about growth.
Yeah.
And everything, because what I'm finding is people will present here and they'll go through this, but when you ask what is the backup, what is the administrative side, they can't answer.
No,
that.
yeah, they don't.
And that's because they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
No, we can't give them carte blanche and be like, hey, yeah, we agree to your rules, but now it's
The administration is going to change.
correct.
And so a new administration will come in and they're beholden to this unless they decide to make some changes.
Yeah.
So what does that look like?
Duly noted.
I wouldn't mess with proposal 9.
Yeah.
If anything, I would work on ways to tighten things a little bit, just to safeguard communities and people who are in close proximity to a lot of places.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a big question mark.
Leading into proposal 10, I like this one. Create more opportunities for amusements to locate in our area. Currently, the zoning defines a limited set of amusement and recreational uses based on those popular 60 years ago, creating ambiguity for new types of experiential businesses seeking to locate along neighborhood commercial streets. The issue, New Yorkers often must travel to industrial areas to engage in activities like arcades, virtual reality, and children's entertainment due to these outdated rules prohibiting some types of businesses in C districts. The proposal, it aims to create zoning terms for amusement or recreational facilities and allow these uses indoors up to spaces of 10,000 square feet in C1, C2, allowed indoors without limitation in C4 through C7, and indoors or outdoors without limitation in C8 or M1 through M3. Businesses in C1 through C7 could apply to allow outdoor activities through a special BSA permit process. And again, we're talking about indoor skydiving,
I'm thinking Top Golf,
David
Top
Buster's,
Golf,
Dave
Dave
and
and
Buster's,
Buster's,
They have
go
fly
kart.
zone.
yeah, Fly Zone.
You know, I love driving and I'm a car guy, and there's a lot of car people and a lot of people that want to get their kids into, the motorsports. But to go
Oh, New
ride
Jersey.
go-karts,
Yeah,
you have to go to New Jersey.
Yeah, you
There
have to go
used
to
to be
Jersey.
in Mount
New
Vernon.
Rochelle has it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if
What
you're
do they
if
do?
you're a family without a vehicle, it's like to get over there, it's a
Yeah.
hassle. So
It is a
it might be nice to have more opportunities for amusements to locate here, especially like in the summertime. I was seeing, and again, like I'm new to the area and I didn't know that there would be that many kids riding bikes outside of the street, running around. They
Because there's
didn't
no
have anywhere to
community
play.
centers.
Yeah, they don't have anywhere to play.
Yeah.
This is why something like this, if they've got a space big enough for a Dave and Buster's, they should be putting a community center in there, which we've been asking for at least for the last 15, 20 years, and how many.
Right.
And I just want to say, growing up in this area, we never had. So we're going back decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did address that though in proposal 6. So
Okay.
they are allowing for more community facilities and spaces. Hopefully somebody sees that opportunity and starts a business around that.
Well, you have that whole big space, going towards 95.
Yeah, that's the abandoned place. That's not our district though. I think the one by Bay Plaza across the street, like,
Oh,
Where the miniature
Where?
golf place was.
Yeah.
oh, the bingo hall?
no, the big,
No.
it's abandoned. It's next to, it's right across from Bay Plaza.
No, not Big
Oh, that
Plaza.
belongs to MTA.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Near where the
That's
cheese
been
was.
a big
in
Right.
Home
for a
Depot.
long time, but MTA put their foot down that that's their ownership. And I think there's like a vault of not knowing.
Well, they had it up for an RFP,
Oh, they did?
many, many years ago. And
Yes.
it was very political because of whoever was in office.
Yes.
And, it's the right developer coming to MTA to do the right program, right plan. But I think, YMCA would be good
Oh,
there.
YMCA would be great.
Well, a boys and girls
Yeah.
club, like Kips Bay.
Yeah.
My son went to Kips Bay when, he was like 5 or 6, and you only paid $5. It's practically free, and but I couldn't continue it because I couldn't get somebody to bring him there. But the point is, it's something that Van Est, Morris Park, Helen Parkway, we have 3 communities that need something for our children, and we don't have it.
We need to advocate for that because
I
it's
brought-
underutilized.
I
land.
brought it up to Vanessa Gibson, and she couldn't believe the fact that, what do you mean for many decades, at least over 4 or 5 decades. We're not talking 1 or 2. We're talking when I was a child. Long time.
Yeah.
Decades and decades. And our children, we should be investing in our future.
If not just this community board, but all community boards play the game with the city of Yes. And like, let's say we attach our recommendations to what we want to see in this community, our stipulations to it. And, basically, okay, you're not going to modify it. We're going to vote it down, and start voting the proposals down, right? If they don't have.
So what do we want?
That's why the vision
Board, yeah.
board is very important.
That's why that
It's
vision board.
very,
is very
that
important.
has to happen.
Well, we could put it on a list first before we do. We could just make a list.
Yeah.
Our children, there are so many things that our children need, and we should invest in our future.
You know what, Bernadette, you're right. And we can't, and
'Cause
we
we're
may
done.
be a middle income, low income community, but we need to invest in our kids,
Right.
right?
They're the
And
future.
so it starts here and it starts now with the zoning. So I don't want to hear about poorness. We need to flood all resources and demand all resources to our community because we're no different than any other community.
And we deserve it, and, and it has been put out there in the last, let's just say the last 15, 20 years. But there needs to be some teeth in the progress. And right now, like, for example, when there were issues, when we had the pandemic, I always got asked the question, well, Bernadette, where's the real estate? I said, well, I'm not a realtor. I said, but when real estate happens, there needs to be something already in progress. So there was real estate. My cousin was the owner, in my family, of the Van Ness bowling lanes, okay? That would have been a perfect location. But the property owner, basically, we didn't get to it fast enough, and now I was told that it was, a warehouse or whatever, or for, some sort of storage. But I understand that, even though I knew the property owner, and as soon as I realized that, I sent a letter and I said, if you want to have your legacy, because he's been in the neighborhood for at least 80, 90 years. This is a legacy that you could do with, have this be something for it. But it didn't work out. So there were other properties across the street. There was the Triborough building.
Mhm.
That whole location is central to Helen Parkway, Van Ness, right in the middle. But maybe there's someplace better.
11.
Enable entrepreneurship with modern rules for home-based businesses. I know Ken had to go and he had some questions and concerns in regards to this. Currently, the zoning allows for a wide range of home-based businesses such as lawyers, jewelry makers, music teachers. Some special districts expand size, employee count, and business type allowances to give even more flexibility to entrepreneurs. The issue is after the pandemic, and New Yorkers working from home, zoning hasn't kept up. So
Right.
they are reacting to the pandemic and, seeing that, okay, there was people that weren't able to be at their barbershop, but the zoning regulations prohibit them from opening up a barbershop in their apartment building, or in their home, or interior decorators operating a business out of their location because they maybe needed a physical address in a C1 or, M district. The proposal aims to remove the list of currently prohibited business license types, expanding size allowance from 25 to 49% of the home and allowing up to 3 employees to be associated with the home-based business, maintaining existing noise and environmental rules, signage limits, and restrictions on selling items not produced on site. My personal reservation is, how are they going to enforce it?
Yeah, this is a pain in the
Yeah,
ass.
I am.
This is a no for me. I just, because we're gonna be chasing folks.
Yeah, there's
Right,
some,
well, I mean, I'm just thinking about, I don't know if you notice now, some people are using accessorized vehicles
Yeah.
as barbershops and nail
Oh,
salons.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, right,
I mean, I've
what
had
is that,
people live in there, actually buy it and live in there.
And
but not
people
this.
are doing what they can do.
I know, I hear it, I get it, but
But my thing is with this is, what does the insurance say?
yeah,
But-
What will insurance
Sure,
say?
but also it starts to blur the lines and there's a gray area. What happens if you have, your residence is in, you have a 2 or 3 bedroom and half of the people on that floor have different kind of businesses. How do the inspectors come? You know,
Yeah.
where do the lines start getting blurry? And, why, I question this one because I think there are too many questions for me.
Is it considered private property?
I don't think we're ready for this yet. I think we could be ready for this in 10, 15 years. I think obviously we're this is like what, 18 proposals. I think they threw the whole thing at us and say, hey, if they don't pay attention, we'll vote it in, whatever. But we're doing our due diligence. And I think this specific one, we're not ready for as a city just yet, or as a district. But obviously the other ones are very administrative, and other ones are worth the conversation. But, I can't have an apartment building with 30 different businesses. Like you said, who's going to come in and check which ones are what? What if someone's, what if someone has a server in there causing fires? We already have problems with the e-bikes.
Yeah.
And that's a huge pain in the butt right now. We don't know personally what to do with how is the how's the landlord managing that? So for this specific one, the compliance is the reason. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
We had a
Yeah.
fire across the street from me because they had 3 of their e-bikes.
Yeah.
The lithium ban, yeah.
Hazel?
Hazel?
yeah. This comes back to what I was saying before, like, if you want to do a hair salon, you want to do a nail salon, but also, what say does the landlord have? And his insurance is going to go up.
Mm.
So that's really not fair on them. And like, if they don't have a choice, so I had a client, who was taken to housing court. She used to bake, goods like, cookies and bread and all kinds of stuff to sell outside in the street. She had one of those big, like, industrial, refrigerators in her apartment. And the landlord took her to court because, he felt like that's not a regular we won the case. So she kept her refrigerator because, my argument was, well, the landlord isn't paying the Con Ed, she is, so it shouldn't make a difference. But, but it was an issue. Like I understood where he was coming from because, first of all, that puts a lot of weight on the kitchen floor, because it's heavier than a regular refrigerator. And he was afraid that the boxes, she had to actually put in a special box for it because
Yeah,
Power.
With circuit
the-
breaker.
Oh yeah.
it's too much power.
So, you know, he lost the case, but I understood where he was coming from. And this is an issue with all of this. Like, what, you know, if I want to start a business in my apartment, does he have the right to say I can't do that? And if I do it, now that I would have to have insurance because God forbid something happens to one of my clients, but then his insurance goes up because I might cause damage or I might, and then what about the water? I'm going to be using a lot of water and people are going to be coming in and out of my apartment. And so, you know, we have to take all of that into consideration. And is it really fair to the other tenants to have this revolving door of strangers just coming into the building? So yeah, this doesn't work for me at all.
It's not more of
The
like
other
a
thing, you
lease
just
thing.
mentioned water. What happens if you decide to do like a laundromat? So you want to wash everybody's clothes and fold them because that's what they have, drop off, fold. That is gonna, as far as a landlord, that's a water bill that is shared by everybody.
That's a water bill and the pipes are not meant
Yeah,
to,
for that, all that.
for that pressure,
all that stuff.
right?
And
So,
also, what happens if she wants to get a portable washer dryer? And which, you know, I mean, there's so many things that are questionable. And like you said, insurance, I don't know what they would do with that.
I would say they would say no. I think a lot of people would lie.
No, yeah, that's the
They
issue.
would lie.
They would lie.
They would lie about what they need. I mean, look at construction. You can't say, I'm a carpenter and think that you're gonna get insurance because they will deny you. So you have to really be specific or not specific in what you want to say in order to get insurance. It's gonna be the same thing here.
Yeah, that's where the cutting corners and the,
I mean, it sounds a lot more on like a lease thing, being like legally like like what legal stipulation they can put on like a contract for a tenant and like stipulations on like if you hypothetically were to start like a business indoors, if this was legally allowed, here are your stipulations, here's what's allowed. I'd be interested to see if the city could provide per building or just in general, like, hey, this is what the general type of buildings of apartments based businesses that could be run in your building specifically or area based off of like the construction, weight capacity, that sort of thing. Like I'd be interested in seeing if we can get that sort of information or make that information could be public. But
For this proposal, right?
yeah.
Okay, right. Let's put that in the question then.
And then also like understanding like the legal stipulations that at least like the business owners can apply. I mean, like I like homeowners at the very least because they are more well informed in terms of like, hey, legally, if this does go into law, here's what you're able to do to protect yourself. And this is what you could require of your tenant to also protect them in case of incidents and protect yourself in case something happens, like a fire.
right, that.
You make a
It's-
good point. You make a good point about the lease because now does the landlord give this tenant a commercial lease? And what does that do to rent stabilization? Is that apartment not stabilized?
It's
So-
not. It's not gonna be
There's a-
stabilized. That's a whole violation. That's what I mean, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Hazel. That's what I mean, administrative.
Yeah.
Right, because
Yeah.
this has to coincide with all of the agencies
Yeah.
that deal with affordable housing, because we are in an environment where the landlord has no real power right now. Like I have one building that owes $800,000, right? Tenants not paying rent.
Wow.
So what do I do with that? How is my building supposed to function? How am I supposed to buy oil?
Yeah.
So this is a huge factor that I don't think the administration is able to answer. Here, this is nice, right?
It's beautiful.
But beautiful, right? But what's the administrative? Who's following?
Yeah.
Is everyone on the same page?
And that's yeah.
With policy.
Yeah.
And I don't think they are.
Or not yet.
No, yeah.
We definitely need to ask about like the legal implications of a lot of these to get more information on that.
Because the problem I see long term, I think, is that let's say we vote this one no, but another community board votes yes, and then folks in that community start doing this, then we're gonna have a copycat effect. This is just me thinking outside the box. And then folks, oh, I heard so and so has a barbershop in this building. I'm gonna do it anyway. So this is gonna be a kind of a domino effect for the whole city, I feel.
I agree.
Let's
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
speed it up.
Take it lightly.
Yeah.
We're in the home stretch.
Yeah.
makes the hair on the back of my neck go up.
Enabling, goal number 3, enable more business-friendly streetscapes. Long blank walls and drive-throughs create unpleasant and unsafe conditions for people. When auto-related businesses spill out into the sidewalk, it creates a safety concern for pedestrians and breaks up commercial corridors. Professional delivery activity frequently resorts to sidewalks because it is not allowed in buildings except in industrial areas. So first one under this goal is proposal number 12, introduce design rules that ensure buildings contribute to surroundings. Now, when we're talking about design rules, we're talking about new buildings. So there's currently dozens of special districts that have streetscape regulations, but they inconsistently regulate conditions based on time they were adopted. Outside of Manhattan and in some special districts, most areas of the city do not have any zoning rules guiding street level design. The issue, lack of consistent streetscape regulations diminishes economic vibrancy of commercial areas and create unsafe or unpleasant conditions for pedestrians and customers. The proposal aims to establish a consistent and easy to understand citywide framework for commercial ground floor design requirements in more stringent places with greater pedestrian activity and more flexible and auto-oriented corridors. So think like Jerome Avenue rezoning, think like White Plains Road, you know, some of these businesses that they close at night or they're just dark,
Right.
you know, or maybe kind of like the image that they have here, the plantings on West Farm Road. I remember walking by there, going to the U-Haul and seeing that. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, because it's not just like this basic, you know, wall there. It's actually something green. It's something a little, you know, a little different. You got this monstrous building to one side, and on the other side, you got a bunch of traffic. So, you know, as you're walking your dog, you know, it's nice to have that little more lighting. You know, what are your thoughts on these?
Seems administrative again.
Administrative, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a big issue here. Obviously, it
It'd be really nice.
I mean, I think it's fun.
I mean, I don't think the cons are very strong. I think
The what?
it's just more design, so
Yeah, it's design. It's not
the
specific.
cons.
Yeah,
are
there's no
really
structural,
literally
there's no,
from,
yeah.
Might want to ask the questions about this. It just seems, you know, who's final, who gets the responsibility of the bill for this, or, you know, where's the money?
Right. Is that going to increase taxes in the area? Basically.
Didn't they have something, isn't this something that
Oh,
de
that's-
Blasio's administration tried to do many, many years ago in their zoning? Or it just seems very familiar. Like, I don't think it involves us, like a community like ours, but more so.
Well, look at the next page. We see a bunch of, where it does apply, it's kind of scattered.
drive-through
You
reg-
see, there's at Morris Park, you got some of White Plains Road.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, you see it.
Does
Wait,
everybody have Tune's email that I sent?
Yes.
Okay, so he says like, you know, between 36 and 41 provides maps.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Design is always tricky. I
these probably.
It's the whole thing.
All right. I mean,
Alright.
we could put a pin on
Yeah,
this
put a
one.
pin and see more clarity on proposal 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proposal 13 hits close to home for me. I myself had a body shop in Whitestone. And you know, when you have an auto servicing or auto repair, they're mostly restricted to industrial areas. But you know, there are exceptions to certain servicing parts of a vehicle that could be in C2 and C4 districts. So like on the corner, you see Reaction Auto, they're in Whitestone, they do oil changes, brake pads, just typical tuning up of cars.
And like
Like a-
Stillwell Avenue is all right now.
right.
Yeah.
But it's not a body shop, right? Like
Yeah.
at Reaction, they don't do body work there. So the issue right now is that in practice, some businesses conduct heavy industrial servicing and vehicle storage on neighborhood sidewalks and retail streets, creating an unsafe condition for residents.
Right where Gun Hill Brewery is,
Yes,
that's become this.
yes. It's a bunch
It's
of,
a bunch of cars.
yeah,
on the
mechanics.
sidewalk, a bunch of
Like,
mechanics.
for example, the veteran area is next to the mechanic. And
Yeah.
it's the best.
Yeah.
On Boston Road.
So the proposal, what they want to do is rationalize and consolidate the range of auto servicing uses into two zoning defined categories: light and heavy vehicle repair, and maintenance shops. Heavy repair shops must be registered with the New York State DMV and will be allowed in C8 and M districts, which is great, because you keep that stuff, in those more commercial areas.
Okay, so just a quick pause. If you go to page 41. All right. You see what an M is in our district. So you just said heavy repair in M and C8. Well, the M is this pink kind of.
Well, one by Morris Park over there, I know that area.
So that would be where this rule will apply to. Okay. If
That's
you
pretty
could-
away from residential.
That is pretty away from.
No, that's where it is now.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah, it's not much in our area.
No, it's not much. They won't. It's because a lot of these won't. Some of these don't affect us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Some
Yeah,
of them
yeah.
are not going to be high impact.
So then then go ahead.
Now, go back to proposal 13, but like and again, only because like I have the experience in like body shops and automotive. My worry with this proposal, and again, to ensure sorry,
No, you're fine.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
27.
no, 27, there we go. So like my fear with this one, because again, I know the business very well, and if you allow light auto servicing in C1 to C7, if you go up and down Atlantic Avenue, there's a lot of C1 through C7s over there mixed in with residential areas right on Atlantic Avenue. You got all the tire shops and things like that.
How is
Oh.
that faring? How does that fare?
Um,
Atlantic Avenue's big,
Yeah.
it's a wide,
Right. Well,
long.
when you turn into a street
Yeah.
like this.
All right. So
right?
then go to page 37. That's what you see the C1s in our district.
Just have reservations about it.
And that's page 37. Yeah, to the right.
Okay.
So this is where the light auto body shops could theoretically be.
I mean, light auto.
Oh my
I mean, that
gosh.
whole corner there.
Yeah, that's all the more
right
smart.
there.
No, no,
That's
no.
it. That would be right here, actually, like this
Yeah.
block.
That would be right here.
That would be this block.
But don't you see that happening now where?
Meineke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's happening now.
So, you get a muffler
Whether
shop.
Permission or not, but
Where though?
Boston
I'm
Road.
curious.
Boston Road area.
Oh, the Boston, they're coming, because I know all the way up.
Where the
going
Royal
up-
Coach Diner.
Oh, that's right.
So when we talk about light auto servicing in C1 and C7s, I think, I'm not thinking so much mechanic shops. I'm thinking like audio and stereo shops
Right.
that are gonna
And
have
sound
loud
systems.
stereo systems, sound systems
Like they
outside.
have, on Tryon Avenue, they have that
Right,
area, the window tintings, the sound systems,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which by the way, the people who are, because I'm part of the Parkchester Watch Group, okay, have issues going into that with that particular place because of how they.
And again, in full disclosure, anybody watching this, I am a huge car guy. I know people are gonna be like, "What? You're turning your back on the car in the street?" No, I'm not
No,
turning the
it's
back of my
different.
car.
I'm a car person too.
Yeah, I
It's
am
not-
protecting our community and
Community.
listening to the community sentiment from our town hall.
No,
If it was for me, look, I'd open up a small shop in my house, right there in Van Ness. But like, I know that nobody wants that there. I'm not gonna go ahead and open up a muffler shop, on a residential
you have
street.
consideration, but there are,
Right,
But there are
unfortunately, there are
people,
many
yeah,
that,
that are-
that it's not part of the formula,
right. So
which is,
that's why we have to be careful
exactly.
with this
Yeah.
proposal.
Unfortunately.
Anybody want to add on anything before we keep it moving? Okay.
28 was next.
Do we have a definite answer on 13? As far as a question
Um,
mark or?
I have questions.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
a question mark on that one.
I think we need to know policy. like,
Yeah,
you know,
policy is the big thing on
That's
that.
the biggest.
You know, because again, you're talking about C1 through C7 districts, that covers a large area,
Yeah.
as you could see in the maps. And when you're talking about light automotive, that's a big category.
It's a big umbrella.
Do you
Yeah.
want to quickly scroll through C1 to C7?
Where were we on that?
Well, it was like 30 something. Like,
37 was it?
so that's, yeah, just keep going through it. I'm just kind of getting.
Okay, so we're gonna just jump into like the map so we could really see what a C1, C7, everything is. So this is C1. That allowed, okay, C2.
Oh, I see.
C2 allows clean production businesses up to 5,000 square feet, allows commercial uses on second floor, simplified moderate use. Okay, so then this is, you know something? This is something that we have to look in detail and really consider this for the town hall and break it down, because you're looking at the districts, they're giving you a map with each proposal for it. So that means like, okay, for C1,
Yep.
these are all the proposals that are going to be active there. So like if you have a lot of residential areas over here, obviously we don't want the light motor vehicle repair. So we're going to have to scratch out
Right.
proposal 13. Do we want micro distribution facilities up to 2,500 square feet in these areas? I feel that we do. And again, like we could go over this and go through it. Like I do want to go through that.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we jump to this now, we're never going to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through all the
Let's
others.
go through the
But
other
we're going to
ones.
definitely get to that.
Yeah. Because this is where the question was,
Yes.
where we were asking Toon,
Yeah.
show us where in our district, Community Board 11, well, how much of it is going to impact our area, not all, he said, not all of the proposals are going to impact Community Board 11.
Yeah, that shows
The
a lot.
ones that are concerns he showed in the map, so
So we
that
do want to
was,
vote down anything that is in there that is a concern, even,
Mhm.
you know, like, yeah, I look, he's a nice guy. And this is great information, but they haven't given new information in over like since they released this, which was over a year ago. So
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah, so I want to make sure that we vet
I mean,
this,
at the end of the day, it's a proposal, so they haven't worked out all the kinks yet.
and we should use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned long ago, you don't trust the city. I mean, you know, especially when it comes to zoning. Because while we think they're not thinking, they're thinking.
They're thinking.
Oh no, they're thinking totally.
But
Proposal.
question, how much do you want to break this up into two, or you want to go through this?
We have 4 more proposals to go
Let's speed
through.
it through.
You
Can we
wanna-
just finish the 4 proposals,
Okay.
and then we'll get into the maps on another session.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
No, I think, yeah,
It's a process.
We should have another meeting.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Probably,
before,
probably before, maybe leadership, the week of leadership. Just come in and vote.
So then let's
Up and
run
down.
through the last 4 proposals,
Yeah.
and we could end there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the next thing was the maps
Okay.
for each proposal and each C1, C2.
Okay.
And that's a lot.
yeah.
So
it's
that's a whole
it's
nother
lot.
meeting.
It's a lot.
Okay, yeah, that's-
it is a lot, but that's why
Yeah.
it's good to know which ones are gonna impact us
Yeah.
the most to focus on.
Yeah, so at least this will give us a basis to understand
Yeah.
what we're getting into.
I don't understand this one. I mean, most of the delivery trucks are either double parking or they're going into areas that are open where by a hydrant, I don't understand.
I think this is coming because you have more delivery services now
Right.
than UPS and the post office.
Subcontractors.
Subcontractors, you have
That aren't in
Amazon.
truck.
That aren't in trucks, right, that aren't in trucks. And so this creates a bigger
Imagine-
issue.
Yeah, imagine like for a building being occupied, like a delivery center where people could come in and out through bikes, so they could deliver from that place for bikes. Like
Mhm.
packaging could be sent to like that location, and then they can maybe like hire out people to like deliver them through
Well, don't-
bikes.
Don't they have something, areas like
So-
that now for where packages are
In Midtown,
In
I've seen
Midtown.
that. in
No, there's something
Midtown.
local. There is something local here, because somebody was telling me that we do, not in our Community Board 11, but locally, either in Parktown or somewhere where you can drop off, you basically have my friend who lives in Parkchester. You could go somewhere and that's where you want your stuff parked,
That's one thing, but what this is more on, let's say, reducing the amount of trucks that are in the neighborhood. So like
Mm.
Amazon, I know that they've been doing a pilot program where they have people in regular vehicles making deliveries. So you're able, as a subcontractor, go to an Amazon distribution center,
Right.
pick up a bunch of packages, load your minivan, and in between, I guess, your day-to-day, you do your Amazon delivery route in your
Okay.
personal vehicle. That's one less huge truck coming down Morris Park
Blocking
or
traffic
White
going
Plains or
in.
blocking traffic, because now instead of a huge truck, you have a car or a van that could pull into a driveway, or if you are parking, you're not taking up a large footprint, and you're not emitting the amount of gases and stuff like that that other trucks are emitting while they're idling. And there's also a big push for like these small delivery bikes with little trailers behind them.
No, that's I'm seeing a lot of those. The delivery with the black, I think, and it's the same company because it's the black with the wing on it. We have to be mindful of that. A lot of the delivery services, they're on e-bikes and they bunch up.
That's a good point.
So, there are questions on this as far as the larger spaces available.
Yeah, like what space are we designating for them?
Yeah,
Mm.
so if we're talking, we're talking
No, I know,
about
but, like,
larger than
Where are we
5,000
getting
square
that
feet.
space?
Like,
We don't have
are,
enough space.
Right.
yeah, are they getting, a whole building?
Yeah.
Like, is
It's on the
Amazon able to come and buy a 10,000 square foot
It's in
building
the
in our
ground
district?
floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, they have, they out in the Hutch Metro.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah,
And
they're-
then, I'm sorry.
they're in the Hutch Metro area, Amazon, so that's.
Oh yeah, with the old Models, right? Was the warehouse.
So,
So, I guess there may be a lot of questions that people may have on this. I mean, we could obviously bring up, this in a future meeting, or obviously in the vision board, people will have, their concerns brought up at that time. But I think it's a good thing to minimize the amount of trucks. in this
Yeah, I
area.
like the intent. I just don't know
minimize
the
trucks, yes, I like that.
execution is the issue.
Execution. Yeah. How are they planning on executing this? What are these special permits? And two different agencies are doing them. So, if one gives it, does the other one not give
Right,
it? Do they
right,
both have to
right.
give it? Right. Goal number 4, create new opportunities for businesses to open. We're talking about residential campuses like NYCHA would provide residents with better access to goods and services. But our rules limit the shape of certain buildings. Our rules limit the shape of certain new buildings such as film studios, and our manufacturing districts need to be better reflect the needs of current and future businesses. With that, facilitating local commercial space on residential campuses. Somebody brought up an idea about NYCHA complexes and how people have to leave the NYCHA complex to go to, let's say, a deli or a supermarket or a pharmacy. And if NYCHA complexes had, were zoned as resident districts, they would allow like more types of businesses. And I kind of liked I forgot who brought it up, but somebody brought that up, and I kind of liked this proposal for that reason.
Well, I had asked I forgot the gentleman's name when he was presenting, because East Chester, right? They have a massive amount of lawn space in the middle where back in the days they used to play football, and no one is using it anymore. So say I wanted to build a supermarket there.
You can.
Would I be able to? Would this zoning allow me to do so? And he said yes,
Yeah.
because that would be beneficial to that community.
And that's reminds me of when new buildings are created, they have that mixed use kind of
Right.
where they have the supermarket in the bottom and then the folks live up top. So I think this is probably where they're getting that as well, where you see this Ravens View Pharmacy
Right.
in the bottom and the folks live up top. I mean, yeah, that would be awesome if folks don't have to travel a few miles to go to the supermarket or the bodega.
Because you look at Rochdale Village in Queens, right? They have that, a village within itself. They have a supermarket, a pharmacy. So residents won't have to go off campus to do what they need to do.
It just makes it more accessible,
Right.
walkable.
Especially with seniors.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I mean, obviously the question is NYCHA approving these
Well,
contracts?
NYCHA had to go through it no
Which is
matter what.
it's a thing. It's like it's like who's approving?
It's-
And NYCHA is its own beast.
Well,
To give NYCHA the authorization to pick that.
Well, so this is something that the community board is going to have power over, because there is going to be an environmental review and a community board review. And again, the approval is only gonna happen if the development's not gonna create traffic congestion or any environmental concern. So I think that, when we talk about control that we have over something, this is something that we're gonna have
Definitely.
Okay.
control over.
I love it rather than, well, I can't say rather than build additional housing, but I notice when they have available land, what type of housing are you building?
Mm.
Yeah.
Anything on this, anybody? Any additional stuff, questions, anybody? Comments?
Can we
Okay.
get a CPC authorization?
Hold on, sorry. Getting the hang of it.
That's not like CPC the agency,
I don't think
right?
so.
Roosevelt Island is an island, but yes, they have that too. Seniors can and do get their medication and grocery. Okay, all right, not all seniors.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
My mother doesn't.
So 16,
15.
15.
15.
Facilitate the local.
Can I just go back for a second? Has there been any kind of study or survey for NYCHA residents? Is this something that they want?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you, Bernadette, and that's something that housing committee can charge, right? Is the housing committee can request that a neighborhood study
Yes.
be done within NYCHA, just like a neighborhood study can be done within the community. And it's crazy because there was RSA is an organization that would do those type of studies. And the one who did it for us in East Harlem is now a city council person.
Is now what?
A city council person. She just got elected into city council. So I think a study is needed. We just have to request it.
I'm just curious if, I mean, that's a question. I mean, there needs to be more question on our part about how much has this already been discussed? Is this already in the works? What kind of conversations have been going on or discussions have been going on? Because like we said, NYCHA is a separate.
Yeah.
Right, but my fear with NYCHA is the selling off of NYCHA, like Edenwald.
Oh,
and
it's tight now.
you just, what does that mean for the residents? What
Yeah.
does that mean for the future?
That's it, they do, yeah.
Right? We do have a number of Gun Hill houses and Eastchester houses and,
Yes.
what was the other one? Patterson. We need to know.
Yeah.
They're not really selling them. They're allowing private management companies to come in and manage them.
No, so to her point, let's say that private management company now has this zone of availability. They can now put whatever they want because we have allowed the
Well,
zoning.
They
Well,
can't really
subject
do
to-
it because
because
what they're really there for is to like upgrade all of the apartments and and the boilers and make sure that the
Well,
buildings are being
I know what they
maintained.
spend. Right. Right.
And I know that for a fact because I've been keeping my eye on what they're doing in Edenwald because I know who the management company is there, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on Eastchester Road too. So, but I kind of like this idea too because especially in well, Pelham houses, there's a little shopping strip right there, so they don't really have to go that far. And they have Williamsbridge Road. But like places like Parkside, especially closer to AD and Arnell, you have to walk a bit to get to the supermarket. You have to walk a bit to get to the drugstore. So I kind of like this idea of having. I don't know if they have to build it or if they can just take a portion of the building or whatever.
Yeah, but they'll probably need to take like the community room or something. But yeah, you're right.
I think we have to be very mindful with something like this because 25, 30 years ago when I was a child, Eastchester Gardens, they were looking at that to turn that into a co-op because it was a beautiful development.
It was.
And so, they may say out loud they're not looking to sell, but I don't necessarily trust that. So we just have to be mindful and keep that in the back of our heads.
Yeah, and it also depends on what the residents want,
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
And are they coming out and be boisterous on topics like this?
Yeah.
Well, remember with this proposal, it's subject to environmental review and community board review. So at the end of the day, we do have the opportunity to provide some input.
Right, this won't, they won't approve the development if there's a problem.
Okay.
Has the housing committee ever brought in the tenant association? Because you know they have a council.
That's Hazel.
Hazel, have you ever requested that the tenant association council come to the community board, your committee?
No, I haven't, but we have, we
You
have the
should.
resident of Eastchester on the board. Keith Ramsey.
Well, I'm talking others. They're, yeah,
And Coops.
the coop, yeah, others. They have a council. I mean, I don't know if they have it in the Bronx. I know they have it in Manhattan, but it's very good to get to be familiar with the TAs. The
Yeah, they
presidents.
have TAs. They all have resident councils. All of the,
Right,
all of
so-
all of our developments do.
It would be good for them to come in,
Noted.
just to speak to them, you know,
All of them. at the
all
same
of them,
time.
yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Okay,
All right, let's try. Come on.
16, we're almost there.
Uh,
Creating a process for allowing new corner stores in residential areas. Currently zoning does not allow for small scale stores in residential areas. The issue is residential areas of the city prohibit all new stores, which means new neighborhood services can never open in large swaths of the city. The proposal aims to create a CPC authorization to allow up to 2,500 square foot of commercial use within 100 feet of an intersection, subject to both environmental review and community board approval. Love that. Approval only if development would not create traffic congestion or environmental concerns. So basically what they're trying to do is kind of like how you make this turn right here, and then you got these few businesses 100 feet in.
Mhm.
That's basically what they want to do, allow that in more streets and more areas to give you that 100 foot in from the main road from the intersection.
I like it because it says community board approval.
Yeah, it's not gonna be smack in the middle of the block. It's coming in 100 feet from the intersection.
Public to speak on this. Yeah.
All right, next. 17. Rationalize waiver process for business adaptation and growth. Currently, many growing businesses run into physical constraints of zoning that are incompatible with business expansion plans. For instance, a soundstage requires high walls, which conflict with zoning limitations on maximum street wall heights in many districts. Or a clothing store may be so successful that it wants to take over the next storefront, but discovers it is size limited in many C districts. The issue today, these businesses may have no paths forward. The proposal wants to rationalize and supplement existing BSA permits to allow for any business type to seek limited modifications to size, enclosure, or location of use via BSA special permit. Significant size increases would require public process via CPC special permit, create new CPC authorization for bulk modifications, including yard and setback requirements. I am not sure on this.
I'm a no on this.
I
It's just too complicated.
yeah, it doesn't
It
sound,
just seems too, it's like you can just do anything. It seems like if you get the permits.
yeah, you could create a whole new
Yeah.
commercial district
I
or
don't
a whole
know.
new manufacturing district
Yeah.
with
I've
this.
seen what they've done up in, oh, where I'm, sorry, I'm tired. By 230th Street and, up there.
Riverdale?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have friends who live there, I'm up there all the time. But what they did to that corner, that, I mean, I was there before they did that, and now they have Target and everything. I mean,
Oh,
Chick-fil-A.
not the Target area, but before
No,
that.
but
by
the
the
Chick-fil-A
230th
is now.
Street,
Yeah.
Right by where 231st is, etc. That, they built that, they have a garage that goes in and the whole thing, and, my friend who lives there has been there for a while, is that it has created so much traffic congestion. And she doesn't even drive a car, and she's afraid as a pedestrian. I mean, and driving up there, you know, is, you've got to go very slow. There's just a lot. There's a lot of ifs about this, but, I'm a little unclear about this proposal.
All right, we should
Yeah.
definitely,
That's a question to ask about traffic congestion.
I want to see how it impacts us on the maps.
Yeah, I don't even see the, I mean, it doesn't have specific zoning.
all right,
All right, 18.
18. Well, okay, there we go. Yeah.
That's one, right?
Right. Create new kinds of zoning districts for future job hubs. Currently no new zoning tools have been created in the last 60 years for non-residential zones, and current tools are functionally obsolete. The current zoning in most industrial areas favors low-scale warehouse construction, preventing the construction of new multi-story buildings to support growing jobs, particularly near transit. The proposal is to create a range of new job-intensive zoning districts to allow for modern loft-style buildings by permitting higher densities, more flexibility on permitted building form, and the right size parking and loading requirements. This screams Brooklyn, Greenpoint, all these areas like Long Island City.
Yeah,
And look at the building, actually. This is, I think, Long Island City here. I don't know. That to me, this
Sounds like a
proposal.
WeWork.
Yeah, this last proposal is similar to proposal 17, that both of those combined would basically create a whole new character for the area. It
And
would-
density.
yeah, a whole new density, excuse me, that's the word.
That-
whole
That's the
density.
key word.
So I don't know, that's a no for me.
Someone brought up what the bid.
It would be good to see how
They're gonna be in support
the
of
map
it.
for that one is.
yeah.
And again, I mean, look, I am gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and continue on with it.
Zoning?
Huh?
What's the zoning for this?
The zoning for this is M3. M3 and manufacturing, right? So
Oh, and three?
So that's pretty far away from residential,
We
so
know.
it's just allowing for multiple story
We
there.
have M's.
We have an M.
30, page 36, we see the M's, that's,
If you want to briefly look at it, we can look at the M's.
yeah, it's just that area.
Yeah, they're out of the way there.
they are out of the way.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just that area.
I mean, I don't think it
Oh,
would
I
have
see.
much impact.
That's the same area for auto body,
Mm-hmm.
the same. one.
Yep.
So then, okay, so then C7, new type of commercial district with CBD uses, but same bulk as M1A. So does that mean that C4 through C7 is
C4,
a new commercial? Oh no,
Yeah.
It allows a new type within.
Yeah, C7 would be new, and it would be where C4 is through C6.
Oh, okay, I get it. C7 is the new one,
Yeah.
allowing for C4 through C6 in there.
Yes.
And then C4 districts, we got C4s over
I don't
here.
know about this.
We have C.
It'd be C.
Yeah, we don't have C5s or 6.
Oh, okay. So then they'd allow a C5 and C6
Yes, at C4,
at C4.
That's not that
Correct.
much area.
That's
which
not-
is like 3 spots.
okay.
Okay, that's.
But let's,
Yeah,
I think-
yes.
let's,
That's what just consider next meeting.
yeah, so let's put, when do we want to meet again? Because now next time we need to go over the maps.
Well, are we gonna go over the maps now?
Are we?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and, I mean, it's up to you guys.
I would rather we meet again, because I want to do the maps and then vote,
I kind of
I
want to do
think
more
that's a good
research.
idea.
and then be done.
Yeah, there's a lot that we have to process. on
You mean for the leadership meeting?
Before leadership, we should meet for like an hour.
When is leadership?
I think the next Thursday. We can even do it before leadership for 30 minutes or
It's
not.
not gonna take 30 minutes.
It's gonna be pretty quick, just going.
Yeah,
It's
no,
gonna take more than 30
it'll probably
minutes.
take 30, everything takes 30 minutes.
Yeah. It would be good if it.
I
was
wish it
30
was. I know, I'm being hopeful.
minutes. Yeah.
Let me look at the calendar.
I'm like fly by night, man. I gotta just.
I think there's a question about our full board meeting because we do not, even though we gave Einstein, et cetera, all of our requested days, we do not have our full board meeting is not going to be on the 25th.
Okay.
Okay, it's either gonna be on the 23rd or the 24th.
Okay.
So most likely it'll be the 23rd if I think that Harry is trying to see if community,
Six.
if they might switch the days, but it doesn't mean it's either gonna be
They're all-
23rd or the 24th. So so we have to do something before that.
Correct. So either we could do next Wednesday, the 17th,
What's on the calendar for next Wednesday?
next Wednesday, Health and Social Services at 7 p.m. If we could get here at 5:30, 5:45, would you?
How does everybody up for, I mean,
Yeah.
What day?
Yeah.
Huh?
What day?
17
17th?
next
What day that?
Verify?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
you're
Yeah,
fine?
it'll be 5:45 to 7, and that way, then we could stay for Health and Social Services if we have to,
Okay.
and then we could
And
we
then
could go
leadership is on,
the next day, but you have e-board at 6, executive board at 6, and then leadership at 7, so it won't be tired.
Just
Um,
interrupting to say, Hazel, that is our BPECA meeting night that we switched from tonight because of this meeting.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I have to be at that meeting.
What day? Which one? What date?
Wednesday, the 17th. We already switched our BPECA meeting once this month for you guys,
What time is your meeting?
6 to 8.
6 to 8, yeah.
We really can't switch again. And Hazel's a critical board member for our meeting. topic.
So we could do 5 to 6 on the 17th, or we could do the 22nd, which is a Monday.
what's on Monday?
Ethics and disciplinary, it's at 7.
Are we gonna vote on anything that meeting?
Which one? Our next meeting, we have to vote on
We have
that.
to vote on it.
We have to make our proposal.
So we need a quorum, so we have to pick a time to work.
So
for
at least 4 people have to be there.
Yeah. I mean, 5 to 6 works for me.
On which day?
On Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay, are you?
Same.
All right, so
Monday's the
we're gonna do 17, 5 to 6. All right, Hazel?
That's not good because I have to be at the meeting at 6 o'clock. I have
we
to
don't
be
have
at
to-
the
what-
BPECA
yeah,
meeting.
you could tell us how you wanna vote.
She still has to, she might not have, she might have questions on the map, so.
Okay, so then the 22nd, can you guys do the 22nd to Monday?
Monday?
Monday? Can you do,
From
Hazel,
what
can you do
time?
Monday? 6 to 7.
Yep.
Okay, so the 22nd, 6 to 7 p.m. here, again. We'll go over the maps and then we'll vote. And then we'll have full board the next day, the 23rd.
Can we share with just the general public, just the map focused, like portion of that?
You know.
Yeah. Just highlight that.
We still we still have the week after,
This
which
one?
is Monday.
Just
No, we have to,
anything
because we have to
after
submit to,
36
the full board has to
onward.
vote.
Like if we could just kind of constrain that and share that. with
That's the
people
problem. That's the only
that
problem.
they- hey, we're gonna focus on
Because even though
about this.
we're gonna submit our
Okay.
What we
our
don't get to the
okay,
public
but they have to
notice,
vote us yes or
Yeah.
no.
So
Yes.
if we just kind of like.
Eric, Edgar brought up something important.
Yep. What happened?
Just for planning next meeting and sharing the information, because you know, we have to give public notice and all that.
Uh-huh.
Can we just like, I think we should just include a PDF of pages 36 onward, specifically in that, just saying, we're just gonna talk about the pros and cons.
Yeah,
What page is that?
36,
36,
okay,
36. I'll
And-
make a note to Jeremy.
36 to 41.
41, okay.
If we just share that.
Meantime, we could do our homework and just see if there's any other questions with
You want to
us
revoke?
looking at the maps before we
Yeah,
get here.
uh-huh.
And, you know,
Oh, and then someone shared something pretty good up in the comments.
Which thing?
Keep
I
scrolling, there was a good
back-
shared information.
What, Hazel?
Yeah, I can go back and see what questions were brought up at the public hearing. And at the presentation, I know that I
Can
made.
I have more information on each one? This is something to look through during your.
All right,
But it answers some of our questions.
no, yeah, it's good. It's in the chat, so we'll have it.
make sure the chat is.
Thank you, Diana, for sending that link. Really appreciate that. That has great information. And to answer your question about what the Morris Park bid members think, and who's WPR?
The letter.
Yeah,
Woodlands
I'm gonna
Road.
read. Who?
White Plains
Wait,
Road.
wait.
Oh,
Woodlands
White
Road.
Plains Road. I mean, if you hear from them, let me know. But we are going to read off a letter from the Morris Park Business Improvement District. This is addressed to New York City Planning Commission Chair Dan Garodnick. Dear Chair Garodnick, the Morris Park Business Improvement District in the Bronx strongly supports the Department of City Planning's proposed City of Yes for Economic Opportunity zoning amendment aiming to modernize the city's zoning rules, to further support small business growth, to create thriving commercial corridors, and bolster the city's economic recovery. As the current regulations can be particularly confusing for small businesses and innovative entrepreneurs trying to expand in New York City, we consider that the proposed economic opportunity zoning text amendment will provide clear and sensible rules that allow businesses necessary operational flexibility. Since 2019, the Morris Park bid has overseen the transformation of Morris Park Avenue into an energetic, vibrant, and diverse commercial corridor serving a multi-ethnic community of over 45,000 residents. While our corridor performed exceptionally well under the pandemic conditions, forthcoming major infrastructure and transportation developments in neighboring areas call for a fresh look at zoning regulations with a view of enhancing the commercial and public spaces. Particularly, we anticipate this proposal to have an impact in relation to the MTA Penn Station Access Project that will connect the East Bronx to Manhattan, as well as Westchester and Connecticut, along with the Metro North Railroad New Haven line. As Morris Park is one of the city's largest job centers, particularly in the life science space, with over 23,000 jobs within a half-mile radius of the proposed Metro North station, we forecast significant small business development over the next couple of years in areas surrounding these stations. In conjunction with the ongoing rezoning process around the 4 new stations, including Morris Park, we consider that the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity proposal will answer immediate needs and help reshape and reconfigure several commercial corridors surrounding Morris Park that will benefit from and will be enhanced by the additional flexibility by the proposed provisions. In Morris Park, we have also focused on building a green commercial corridor through innovative streetscape and beautification improvements, including operating the largest horticultural program on a commercial corridor in the Bronx. While a lot remains to be done, especially regarding updated utilities and water management infrastructure on Morris Park Avenue, our work will be significantly assisted by the clearer design regulations for commercial ground floors in the text amendment, fostering a more attractive retail experience. The proposed economic opportunity zoning text amendment will also allow more businesses to locate near their customer base, support the growth of industries such as life sciences, and give businesses the predictability essential to planning. These proposals will help ensure that the Bronx, along with the entire city, will continue being at the forefront of urban sustainability, providing an environment competitive for investment and innovation in the years to come. Sincerely, Dr. Camelia Tepelis, Executive Director, Morris Park Business Improvement District. Should we read the new Bronx Chamber of Commerce Inc. one?
It probably would be similar.
It is similar.
It is similar.
But we do have another letter of support here dated December 1st from the New Bronx Chamber of Commerce Inc. Also in support, and again, grateful for the efforts of the City Planning Commission for their work on the City of Yes Economic Opportunity proposal. Their hope is that local elected officials vote to approve this initiative that will modernize regulations and help ensure New York City continues to provide opportunity for entrepreneurs and business owners. And again, I just kind of summarized just the very last part of this in the essence of time. And this was signed by Lisa Soren, Bronx Chamber of Commerce President. So that is the letters of support from a couple of the bids and Chamber of Commerce. And I am pretty sure that a lot of entrepreneurs, people that have great business ideas, people that have great fortitude after the pandemic will also approve and, appreciate this City of Yes for economic opportunity. So, unless anybody has, I mean, we don't have old business.
May I make a suggestion with regards to, I think that from our meetings and our bringing a more detailed specific about each one of the proposals, because this is an overview. I don't know if they've gone into detail the way we will be looking at things and the distinctions, that we could bring more clarity and specificity about the proposals, which ones are going to impact us, which ones we should be focusing on. And I think hopefully the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, and the Morris Park bid will be in agreement.
We
And
invite the bids to the next meeting.
we give clarity. So
Would you,
Could we invite the bids, people from the bids to the next meeting? It's a bit short notice, but while we're going over the mapping, kind of get their 2 cents on everything.
Yeah,
I don't see why not.
no, yeah, it's an
I
open
would be
meeting.
interested to see, which part they are, if they had any questions to anything, or is this just the umbrella to say everything is good?
At the very least, they should come to the committee.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, they should at
they
least come to
should.
the full board.
Yeah, I sit on the bid as a non-voting, and but I don't know if they. I don't know if they've gone it. Well, I'm hoping that they have, for them to have a letter of support that they've gone into detail, but we haven't gotten any feedback to see if they have any questions. Maybe after our
Yeah, that's interesting.
clarity, they might,
Hazel has her hand raised.
Hazel?
Yeah, just off topic for a minute. Did we vote on the chair and co-chair?
Yes,
Okay,
we voted it, Edward, and Wendy here.
Wendy I'm the chair and
I am the co-chair.
okay, good. Okay, congratulations.
yes.
They stepped up. Yeah, no, he's the one who got you. You were saying, Edward?
I forgot. I think,
We're ending the
I
meeting,
think we
to
were
be
trying to find out if we are going
No
to make
old
a,
business.
there is no old
No, we're
business.
good.
There is no new business. This
No.
is the new business.
Yep.
right.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Second.
All in
Okay,
favor?
motion. Aye.
So the next meeting is gonna be on the 22nd.
At
which is
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yep,
here,
here,
and,
we'll go over the maps and then we'll vote.
okay,
Whoever's here, hopefully, we should have quorum even if it says 4, and then
Right.
then they'll go to the full board the next day, and then that's when we're gonna have a conversation with the full board. 'Cause discussion, because then we're gonna have to explain to them why we voted yes or no to something.
right, okay.
But you're
Sounds
here, so
wonderful.
that's good.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
Yep.
everybody.
Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
No.
Thank you.
I could help